Good day everyone, my name is Ana Patricia Armada from Crim 1A and I'm going to discuss the introduction of criminology. Introduction. There is a growing interest in criminology as a field of study, as evidenced by the steady increase in the number of students taking up Bachelor of Science in Criminology. As a result, there is also an increase in the number of schools offering criminology program. In fact, even the colleges and universities known for medical sciences, computer-related, and technical courses have also opened their doors for criminology students. Noon daw po ay mas mas marami yung nagtitake ng pagti-teacher kaysa sa pag-criminology. Pero dahil sa pag-increase ng mga tao na gustong pag-aralan yung science in criminology, marami na ding nag-take or nag-offer na school para sa criminology. Next. Brief history of criminology education in the Philippines. We are having a Philippine College of Criminology, which is PCCR. Ito yung school ng criminology na pinakasikat. Pioneer School of Criminology in the Philippines, formerly known as Plaridel Education Institution. Yung una niyang naging pangalan is Plaridel Education Institution, started its operation in June 1955 by offering 2-year course, and in June 11, 1956, it started to offer 4-year course leading to the degree of Bachelor of Science in Criminology. In June 1972, PCCR established its graduate school offering 2-year program leading to the degree of Master of Arts in Criminology. Last is April 1983, the Doctor of Philosophy program was added to its graduate programs. Kapag gusto mong pataasin yung credentials mo sa pagiging criminology, dito daw yung school na pasok sa'yo, yung Tama. Doctoral. Ayun, doctoral. Next natin. Criminology as Profession, Republic Act 6506, an act creating the Board of Examiners in the Philippines. Ito na yung batas na gumawa ng Board of Examiners para sa mga estudyante pagkatapos ng criminology. It was approved and became effective on July 1, 1972. According to Section 22 of RA 6506, a criminologist is any person who is graduate of degree of criminology who has passed the examination for criminologists and is registered as such by the board. Ang ibig sabihin, kapag ikaw ay nakagraduate ng degree of criminology at kung saan nakapasa ka ng examination at rehistrado ka, it means ang tawag na sa'yo ay criminologist. We also have here Republic Act 11131, known as the Philippine Criminology Profession Act of 2018. CRA 1131, ito yung nag-amend, pumalit sa Republic Act 6506. Ito na yung bagong batas na kung saan pinatupad sa atin sa mga nag-aaral ng criminology at sa mga gustong kumuha ng criminology at sa mga take pa ng mga board examinations ng criminology. An act regulating the practice of criminology profession. Uy, ba't ka nakatingin? Hala, bulang lang ka. Wait lang.
Tinitignan ko kasi to.
An act regulating the practice of criminology profession in the Philippines and appropriating funds therefore, revealing for the purpose Republic Act number. It was approved on November 8, 2018 and signed by President Rodrigo Duterte. Nung nasa Republic Act 6506 pa tayo, pwede kang kahit bumagsak ka, pwede ka pa ring mag-take ng board exam. Kahit ilang beses ka mag-failed or bumagsak sa pag-take ng exam more than 5, pero still pwede pa rin silang kumuha ng board examination nung nasa under pa ng RA 6506. At ano nga daw yung pinagkaiba nito sa Republic Act 11131? To pass the licensure examination for criminologists under RA 11131, a candidate must obtain a weighted average rating of 75% with no grade less than 60% in any given subject. Kailangan na 60% makukuha yung average sa kahit anong subject mo. Example na lamang is ang total ng grade mo is 75. Ang total ng grade mo is 75. Sa mga subject na kinuha mo is 75. Kaso nakakuha ka ng 60% na average sa isang subject mo. For example, kung halimbawang ang examinee ay nakakuha ng 60% sa kahit anong subject, kahit na 75 pa yung naging total nito, hindi siya pwedeng ma-considered as a passer. Kailangan niyang i-retake yung subject na kung saan nakakuha siya ng 60% below. Less than 60% below. Yan. In any of the subjects, the result of the examinee shall be deferred and be required to retake that particular subjects. Yun nga. The deferred examinee shall only be allowed to retake once within 2 years from the date of the examination and shall be required to obtain a grade not lower than 80% on the subject to be considered to have passed the licensure examination. If the examinee failed to retake after the lapse of 2 years or failed to get the passing mark of 80%, the examinee shall retake all the board subjects. Any examinee who failed 3 or more board subjects shall be deemed to have failed the board examination. Next tayo. Careers in criminology. Some of the most common employments acquired by criminology graduates are the following. Ito yung mga career na pwede mong kunin bukod sa pagiging police officer. Police Officer of the Philippine National Police. Ito nga yung pinaka pwede mong pasukin kapag kumuha ka ng criminology. Top 1 to sa sa careers in criminology. Pangalawa, jail officer. Pwede ka ring mag-isang jail officer of Bureau Jail Management and Penology. Ano bang trabaho nila? Sila yung mga nagbabantay ng mga criminals inside the jail. Fire officer of the Bureau of Fire Protection, mga bumbero. Agent of Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency o PDEA. Ito yung nakafocus sa mga laganap sa pag-prevent ng pagdami ng mga taong gumagamit ng illegal na droga. Tama ba? Number 5, technical personnel of National Bureau of Investigation. Prison guard under the Bureau of Correction. Ito yung mga mahilig investigate. Sa NBI ito eh. Ayun ko eh. Para din siyang jail officer kasi yung Bureau of Correction, pang maramihan siya. Yung joint officer kasi hindi naman. Kaya, jail officer yung tawag. Next is private investigators, detectives, security officers in private and public institutions, criminalists of forensics technicians, probation officer of the Parole and Probation Administration of the Department of Justice, professors or instructors of criminology. Yan na yan.
What is criminology? According to Edwin H. Sutherland, criminology is the entire body of knowledge regarding crimes. As a social phenomenon, it includes within its scope the process of making of law, of breaking of law, and the society reaction towards the breaking of law. Criminology is a body of knowledge regarding crimes, criminals, and the efforts of society to prevent and repress them. In other words, since criminology refers to the study of crimes and criminal. Etymologically, the term criminology came from the Latin word crimen, meaning crime, and Greek word logia, which means to study. In 1885, Rafael Garofalo, an Italian law professor, coined the term criminologia. In 1889, Paul Topinard, French anthropologist, used the term criminology in French criminology for the first time. Principal division of criminology. Etiology of crimes, the scientific analysis of causes of crimes and the criminal behavior. Dito yung mga nagtitake ng mga alcohol, drugs, kaya nakagawa sila ng krimen. Sociology of law refers to the investigation of nature of criminal law and administration. Dito mapasok yung batas sociology. Penology, the study of the control of crimes and the rehabilitation of offender. Dito pinag-aaralan yung mga parusa na natatanggap ng isang taong nakagawa ng krimen. Nature of characteristic of criminology. Criminology is an applied science instrumentation. Applied science is defined as the application of scientific knowledge transferred into a physical environment. Criminology is an applied science because criminology as a knowledge has already established universally accepted principal concept is in use by other fields of study. Criminology is a alcohol science. Crime exists in society. Social science is defined a branch of science that studies the society and human behavior in it. Criminology is a social science because it studies crime as a social phenomenon. Crime is social problem which has a great impact to society. Criminology is dynamic, continuous improving. The word dynamic is used to describe something that is always motion and always active. Criminology is a nationalistic through the adoption of existing penal laws in a specific country or territory. This means that studies of criminology takes its consideration that history, the culture, the social norms, and the law of the country. Crimes are studied in relation of criminal law applied in the country or place with this crime committed. Scope of study criminology. Study of the origin and development of criminal law. Studies of the causes of crimes and development of criminal. Study of the other science that examine criminal behavior using scientific methods such as a criminal demography, the study of the relationship between criminality and population. Dito nakapokus yung nakapokus lang siya sa demography. As letter B, criminal epidemiology, the study of the relationship between environment and criminality. Dito naman tinatalakay yung lugar na kinalakayan ng isang tao ng pamamayanan. Example, lumay ka sa lugar na madaming siraulo. Pare mo itong makuha mula sa kanila, lalo kung madalas mo silang nakakasama. Psychology, the study of criminality in relation to the spatial distribution and community. Criminal physical anthropology, the study of criminality in relation to physical constitution of men. Dito nakabata yung likas na katangian ng isang tao na nakagawa ng krimen o physical na itsura ng nagkasala. Criminal psychology, the study of human behavior in relation to criminality. Dito pinag-aaralan ng pag-uugali ng isang tao. Criminal psychiatry, the study of human mind in relation to criminality. Victimology, the study of the role of the victim in the commission of a crime. Thank you.
Good day, ma'am. Chapter 2 about the crimes in criminals. Crimes in criminals. Crime refers to an act committed or omitted in violation of public law. Phil Law of Dictionary. Yan yung mga bagay na ginawa mo o di mo ginawa. It also refers to an act committed or omitted in violation of a public law forbidding or commanding it. Kahit hindi ikaw yung gumawa, pero ikaw yung nag-utos, then ikaw yung nag-command. That is crime in criminals. Crime of omission. Crime of commission. When the act performed is a violation of a law forbidding it. Ito yung mga ginawa mong action, yung pinerform mong action, then nakapag-violate ka, that is crime of omission. Next. Crime of omission. When the person failed to perform an act that is commanded by law. Without laws that prohibit the act cannot be called crimes. This essences of Latin principle nolum crimen nola puenas sine lege. Translated in English, it is a the is neither crime nor punishment without a law. Then dyan naman sa crime of omission, meron kang bagay na hindi mo ginawa o ginawa mo na pinag-uutos ng batas, that is crime of omission. Triangle of crimes. Elements of crime. What is desire? Desire, it refers to the wanting of the person to commit the crime. A person would only commit crime if he decide he want to do it. Ito yung tao na nakapag-desisyon na makapag-commit ng crime. That is desire. Capability. It refers to the ability of the means of the offender to commit the crime. It includes the skill, methods, and tools that will enable the offender to perform the act of committing the crime. Diyan naman sa capability, halimbawa, nakapag-decision ka na mag-commit ng crime, na napatayin siya sa pamamagitan ng pagbaril. Dapat meron kang abilidad o kakayahan. That is capability. Opportunity. It refers to the physical possibility of the crime to be committed. Diyan naman sa opportunity, diyan yung tamang oras para makapag-commit ng crime ang isang tao. Ito yung tatlong kailangan na present na mag-commit ng crime. That are the three elements of crimes. Classification of crimes. We have two classification. According to law of violated crimes, number 1, unahin natin yung felony. Felony o violation of the RPC. Ito na kapag ang na-violate mong batas ay under ng RPC o Revised Penal Code, that is felony. Offense, violation of the SPLS. Diyan naman sa offense, special of laws. Then infraction, violation of a city or municipal. Diyan naman sa infraction, halimbawa, bawal manigarilyo sa San Jose del Monte, Bulacan. That is infraction. Next. Number 2, according to the manner of committing the crime. Crime and felonies. Dolo or deceit, intentional felonies. Then, dito sa dolo or deceit, ito yung intention mong makapag-commit ng crime. Then, sa culpa or fault, culpable felonies, ito naman yung intentional, ito yung pagkakamali na hindi naman ginusto. Example, murder and homicide. Number 3, according to the commission, attempted crime. Ito yung nakikita ng mga mata na napagkumitan mo ng crime. Ito yung ibig sabihin ng overt act. The crime is attempted when the offender commits the commission of a felony directly by overt act and does not perform all the acts of execution which should be produce the felony by reason of some cause of accidental other than this own spon- is spontaneous distance. Yun na nga yung ito yung nakikita ng mga mata na pagkukumitan mo ng crime. Ito yung ibig sabihin. Ito yung ibig sabihin ng overt act. Next. Frustrated. Frustrated. When the offender perform all the act of execution which would produce the felony as a consequence but which nevertheless do not produce it by reason of causes independent of the will of the perpetrator. Halimbawa, pinutok mo yung baril tapos hindi mo siya tinamaan. That is frustrated. Consummated. When all the elements necessary for its accomplishment and execution and present. Dito naman sa consummated, lahat daw ng present ay nakumit mo, consummated yun. Example, tinutukan mo siya ng baril, tapos tinamaan mo siya, patay. Consummated yun. Number 4, according to plurality of crimes. Example, simple crimes. Saglit lang. Simple crimes. For example, robbery. Ang ginawa mo ay magnakaw. That is simple crime. Complex crime. A single act ends constituting only one offense. Then, yun na nga, yung example of robbery. Pero ang ginawa mo ay magnakaw. That is simple crime. Complex crime is a single act constituting two or more grave or less grave felonies, or when the offense is a necessary means for the committing the other. Example, robbery with homicide and robbery with rape. Number 5, according to the gravity, we have 3 elements of grave felonies and less grave felonies and light felonies. Grave felonies are those which the law attach the capital punishment or penalties which any of their period are effective. Dito naman sa according to the gravity, we have the 3 of felonies. Grave felonies. Ang tawag kapag capital punishment or penalties, grave felonies. Less grave felonies are those which the law punish with a penalty which the maximum period are correctional. Dito naman sa less grave felonies, ano ba yung maximum correctional? That is 6 months and 1 day to 6 years. That is less grave felonies. Light felonies are infraction of laws for the commission of which the penalty of arresto minor or a fine not exceeding 200 pesos or both are provided. Dito naman sa light felonies, ito yung 1 day to 30 days. According to the nature, the act, meron tayong dalawa, mala in si and mala prohibita. Crimes and mala in si are act that are inherently evil, example murder and homicide. Ito yung masama yung nagawa mo. Then crimes mala prohibita are acts which are the prohibited only because there are laws forbidding such acts. Example, legal possession and traffic violation. Next. Criminological classification of crime. According to the result of the crime, acquisitive crime, acquisitive crime, if the offender acquired or gained something by the committing the crime. Example, robbery, estafa, and bribery, and so on. Destructive crime, if the crime resulted in the destruction, damage, or even death. Example dito, arson, murder, and homicide, damage to the property. Number 2, according to the time or period of commission. Una is seasonal crimes. Are crimes that happen only during a particular reason or period of the year. Example, violation of election law and tax law of violation. Situational crimes are crimes committed when the situation is conductive to the commission of the crime and there is opportunity to commit it. Example, pickpocketing, theft. According to the length of time of the commission, we have two instant and episodial crime. Instant crime are those crime that can be committed in a very short time. Example, theft. Episodial crime are crimes committed through series of acts or episodes in much longer time. Example, seriously illegal detention. Number 4, according to place or location crimes. Statistic crimes and continuing crimes. Statistic crimes are committed only in one place. Example, are the theft and robbery. Next, continuing crimes are crimes that take place in more than one place or several places. Example dito yung abduction, kidnapping. Number 5. According to the use of mental faculties, we have two crimes, rational crimes and irrational crimes. Rational crimes, when the offender is capable or knowing what he is doing and understanding the consequence of his actions. Then, irrational crimes, when the offender suffer from any form of mental disorders, insanity or abnormality, those the offender know what is doing. Number 6, according to the type of the offender crimes, white collar crimes and blue collar crimes. White collar crimes, crimes committed by those persons belonging to the upper socioeconomic status or in the course of his occupational activities. Yun yung white collar crimes. Blue collar crimes, are those crimes committed by ordinary criminals as the means of livelihood. Crime statistics refers to the measure of the level or amount of crimes. Completion of data pertaining to crimes. The measure of the level or amount of crimes. It used the term index crime and non-index crime in classifying crimes. Index crime. Crime which sufficiently significant in which occur with a sufficient regularity to be meaningful, such as a murder, homicide, physical injury and robbery, theft and rape. Non-index crime. Crimes that are not classified as index crime. All other crimes not enumerated as index crimes. Classification of criminals. According to etiology, we have two types of chronic and acute. Acute criminal is a person who committed crimes as a result of reacting to a situational during a moment of anger or burst of feeling. Chronic criminals is one who committed a crime with intent or deliberated thinking. Letter A, neurotic criminal. Neurotic criminal is a one who has mental disorder. Letter B, normal criminal. A person who commits crimes because he looks up to idolize people who are criminals. Basahin ko lang to. According to the type of offender. Ordinary criminals. Criminals who engage in crimes which do not require specialized or technical skill. Organized criminal is one who possesses some skill and know-how which enable him to commit crimes and evade detection. Professional criminal. A highly skilled criminals which are engaged in a large-scale criminal activities and usually operate in group. Number 3, according to criminal activities. Professional criminal. A criminal who earns his living through criminal activities. Situational criminals. A person who got involved in criminal act because the situational presented itself. Habitual criminal. Who one repeatedly commits criminal act for different reason. Ito yung ginusto mo talaga. Ginusto mong mag-commit ng crimes. Accidental criminal. A person who accidentally violated the law due to some circumstances.
Good day everyone, my name is Patricia Armada. Good day everyone, my name is Ana Patricia Armada from Crim 1A, and I will discuss the chapter 3, which is entitled Criminal Law. Criminal law. It is impossible to study crimes without studying criminal law because crimes are defined by the criminal laws punishing them. This is the essence of Latin principle nullum crimen nul spini sine lege. Stated in English, this is principle in criminal law means there is no crime when there is no law punishing the act. In the absence of law, an act cannot be considered illegal and therefore is not punishable. Walang masasabing krimen kung walang punishment o walang batas na nagpapunish sa isang act. What is criminal law? It is defined as the branch of public law which defines crimes, truth of their nature, and provides for their punishment. It is also referred to as penal law. Penal law na isa pang tawag din sa criminal law. Early codes. Punta naman tayo ngayon sa early codes. Siyempre, bago tayo magkaroon ng mga penal law or mga criminal law, meron tayong early codes which is ito yung pinagbasehan ng mga batas na ginawa ngayon sa kasalukuyan. Code of Hammurabi. Hammurabi, the king of Babylon during the 18th century BC. Yung Babylon, ito yung Egypt ngayon, is recognized as the first codifier of laws. It is believed that it was during his reign that the code was created, thus it was named after him. This code, which was carved in stone, provided the first comprehensive view of the laws during his time. Yan, nakaukit daw po sa mga bato yung mga batas noong panahon ng Code of Hammurabi. The provisions of the code were premised on the law of talion, lex talionis, or the principle of an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, na ang ibig sabihin ay mata sa mata or ngipin sa ngipin. Under the principle of law of talion, the punishment should be the same as the harm inflicted in the victim. Dito sinasabi na halimbawa ng Code of Hammurabi ay may isang tao na nagtestimonya ng maling testimony at walang ebidensya. The man shall be guilt. Ibig sabihin po nito na yung isang tao po, kapag nagbigay siya ng maling testimony or parang nagsinungaling siya, tapos wala naman pong ebidensya, the man shall be guilt or kailangan po siyang parusahan. Yun po ulit yung Code of Hammurabi. Next naman po tayo is the Hittites. The Hittites existed about 2 centuries after the reign of Hammurabi, and they eventually conquered Babylon. The laws of Hittites may also be characterized as brutal, just like the Code of Hammurabi, because they used death as punishment for many offenses. Itong Hittites ay kapareho lang din siya halos ng Code of Hammurabi, which is kailangan din ng death punishment. Next. Code of Draco. Was codified by Dracon, syempre an Athenian lawgiver in Athens, Greece in the 7th century BC. This was known as the ultimate in severity because of its severe penalties, even more simple offenses. Ibig sabihin na lamang po ay sa simpleng pagkakamali, tatanggap ka pa rin ng severe na penalties o punishment. Next naman po ay ang Law of Solon pala, sorry. Solon, also an Athenian, was appointed archon and was given legislative powers. During his time, he repealed almost all the laws of the Code of Dracon and created laws that provided just punishment. Gumawa siya ng sarili niyang batas at parang pinalitan niya yung lahat ng law noong Code of Dracon ni Dracon. Sana ba tayo? He was on the first to see that a lawgiver had to make laws that applied equally to all citizens and also so that the law of punishment had maintained proportionality to the crimes committed. Dito naman po gumawa siya ng batas. Siya yung kauna-unahang gumawa ng batas. Yun. Okay. Next is, Solon had great impact in the history of lawmaking that now the term Solon is used to refer to any member of Senate or House of Representatives. Si Solon ay gumawa ng punishment na appropriate o tugma sa pagkakasala sa parusa. And next is Rome's 12 tables. Roman law began with the 12 tables, which were written in the middle of the 6th century BC by the Decemvirs. It was written in the table of bronze, and it became the foundation of all laws in Rome. Kumbaga, sa Rome's 12 tables ay siya yung naging pundasyon or foundation ng lahat ng mga batas. Ano ba yun? Okay, ito. Revised Penal Code. One of the sources of the Philippines criminal law is Act No. 3850, otherwise known as the Revised Penal Code or RPC. Sabi ni ma'am, ano daw yan, mali lang na kinapit-paste ko lang din kasi na Act No. 3851 siya, pero correction daw po, it is Act No. 3850. It was approved on December 8, 1930 and became effective on January 1, 1932 and remains enforceable up to this day, except for those provisions that have already been repealed, the passage of other special penal laws over the year. It was translated from the original penal code by the committee created by virtue of Administrative Order 94 issued on October 18, 1927 by the Department of Justice. Dito sinasabi na habang tumatagal, paiba ng paiba or pabago ng pabago ang mga batas or sa pagbabago dahil na lamang din sa pagbabago ng panahon, kasalukuyan nag-iiba din yung batas. Kumbaga, ano lang din siya, parang dynamic lang din siya, ganun. Ganun po. Parang mali. Next. Character of criminal law. Meron tayong tatlong karakter ng criminal law, which is the generality or general in application, territoriality, at prospectivity. So, unahin natin yung asan na yun? It is general in application or generality. The provision of the criminal law or penal law must be applied equally to all persons within the territory, regardless of the sex, race, nationality, and other personal circumstances, with the following exception. Sinasabi dito na, 'di ba, sa general siya. So dapat i-apply ang pagkakapantay-pantay basta nasa loob ka ng Pilipinas or nasa teritoryo ka ng Pilipinas, you are under ng batas ng Pilipinas. At meron tayong exceptions sa generality, which is ito yung principles of public international law. Ito yung mga sovereign of or the head of the states, ambassadors, non-shoes accredited by the head of the state, minister, potentiary minister, resident, charges the affairs. And the second is the treaties or treaty stipulations. That example is base agreement entered into by the Philippines and the US on March 14, 1947 and expired on September 16, 1991. The next exception is law of preferential application or diplomatic representative and their domestic servants. Kumbaga, kapag pumunta dito yung mga diplomatic representative, hindi sila kasali sa generality natin kasi hindi sila taga Pilipinas. Kumbaga, nasa ibang bansa sila. Yung bansa nila yung magbibigay sa kanila ng punishment, hindi yung bansa natin na Pilipinas. Dahil hindi naman sila dito naka-registered, parang ganun. Hindi naman sila talagang dito nakatira. Pero pumunta sila dito, pero hindi sila umabot ng sobrang tagal dito. Kumbaga, doon pa rin sila bibigyan ng penal law sa kanilang bansa or criminal law or bibigyan ng parusa sa bansa nila. Pangalawa is it is territorial in character or territoriality. As part of the right a state to self-preservation, each independent country has the right to promulgate laws enforceable within its territory, jurisdiction, subject only to the limitation imposed by treaties of preferential application and by operation of international law of nation. Ayun. Na dito sinasabi na kahit saan kang parte ng Pilipinas o batas, you are belong to the territoriality. The RPC and the other special laws are applicable only the areas within the Philippines territorial jurisdiction such as Philippine Archipelago, all the islands that comprise the Philippines. Atmosphere water, all the bodies of water that connect all the islands, such as bays, river, and streams. Kumbaga, basta konektado siya sa Pilipinas, you are under territoriality. Maritime zone, the 12-mile limit beyond or shore measured at low tide. However, there are exception to the territorial characteristic of RPC. Should commit an offense while on a Philippine ship or airship. Basta nasa Philippine ship or airship ka, you should commit an offense. Should forge or counterfeit any coin or currency note of the government of the Philippine Islands. Dito yung yung nameke ka ng mga pera ng pera ng bansa, you are under territorial characteristic. Should be liable for acts connected with the introduction into these islands of the obligations and securities mentioned in the preceding number. While being a public officer or employees should commit an offense in the exercise of their function or should commit any of the crimes against the national security, the law of nation defined in Title 1 of Book 2 of this code. Last one is that it is prospective or prospectivity. No person may be punished for his act when at the time he committed the act it is still not yet punishable by law, however favorable to the accused. Ayun nga na kumbaga pasulong yung ibibigay sa iyo na pasulong pa lang yung batas pasulong pa lang yung batas na ibibigay sa iyo, pasulong na ibibigay sa iyo yung batas. Kumbaga, halimbawa na lamang is ano ba? Wait lang. Ayun nga yung sinabi ni ma'am, halimbawa na lamang yung dumura ka, tapos may nakakita sa iyo. Yung nakakita sa iyo is isa siya sa mga officials or public officers. Gumawa siya ngayon ng batas. Pero 'di ba gumawa siya ng batas nung nakita kanyang dumura. Pero kinabukasan siya naging effective. Masasabi ba natin daw siya na kailangan na siyang ma-punish by law? Which is no. Kasi nga daw nagawa niya muna yung crime bago gumawa ng batas. Pero depende pa rin siya kung paulit-ulit mo siyang paulit-ulit mong na-commit yung crime. Next, exception. To the exception if the person is habitual delinquent or habitual criminal, retroactive effect is not applicable. Yun nga yung sinasabi natin na kapag ginawa mo ulit, ayun nga yung halimbawa na lamang is yung nang rape ka or hindi, gumawa ka ng pagkakamali nang nakainom ka pero hindi mo naman gawain yung pag-inom, pwedeng hindi ka magkaroon ng hindi effective sa'yo yung law na binigay. Pero kung habitually mo talaga siyang ginagawa, pwede ka talagang magkaroon ng effective na law. Next is, punta naman tayo sa felony. Felony or delito. Delito is an act or omission punishable by law which is committed by means of dolo or deceit, culpa or fault, and punishable under the revised penal code. Dolo or deceit, which is intentional felonies. Ayan, dito na tayo sa intentional felonies and culpa. Tapos kapag culpa or fault naman, dito yung sinasabi na culpable felonies. Unahin natin yung intentional felonies. Intentional felonies, an act or omission which is malicious or has the intent to do an injury for another. At dito yung sinasabi na intention mo gawin or gawin yung crime or mag-commit ka ng crime, intention mong gawin yung crime. Kumbaga, walang nag-utos sa'yo. Intention mo talaga sa sarili mo na gawin yung crime. So, there are 3 requisites of intentional felonies, which are freedom of action or voluntariness. The offender must have freely or voluntarily committed an act or omission. Yun nga na siya mismo yung nag-commit sa sarili niya. Wala ngang nag-utos sa kanya na mag-commit ng crime na yun. Kumbaga, sa sarili niya yun na action, hindi utos ng iba. Intelligence, when the offender has the ability to determine what is right and what is wrong and the ability to appreciate the consequences of his act. Alam mo yung tama at mali, pero gumawa ka pa rin ng crime. Yun. Intent, criminal intent, when the person knowingly and purposely committed the crime to obtain the desired result. Ayun, yung parang alam mo talaga. Purpose, yung may purpose ka talaga na gawin yun. Intention mo, intent, from the word intent. Intention mo talagang gawin yung crime. You commit the crime kasi intention mo. Next is the culpable felonies, performed without malice and the injury caused by the offender is unintentional. Ito yung hindi mo intention. Kumbaga, aksidente or pwedeng may nag-utos sa'yo. Ganun. Ito yan. Meron din requisites ang culpable felonies na FII, which is freedom of action, intelligence, imprudence, and negligence. Napalitan lang yung pangdulo ng imprudence and negligence. Imprudence is defined as deficiency in action or failure to take the necessary precaution to prevent the danger due to carelessness, which is usually involves lack of skill. Ito yung lack of skill when the crime resulted because the person does not have the necessary skill to perform the action safely. Ito yung lack of skill, kawalan ng knowledge sa mga skill. Kumbaga, kunwari, halimbawa, pulis ka. Ayun nga yung sinabi ni Ma'am Concepcion. As Ma'am Concepcion says na, you are police. Tapos, may baril ka. Binaril mo yung langit. Yun ba yun? Yun ba yun? Tapos, may natamaan ng ligaw na bala. Pero hindi mo intention. Pero dahil sa lack of skill mo, nakagawa ka ng mali. Ayun. The second one is negligence. Is defined as deficiency in perception of failure, foresee the danger which is usually involves lack. Ay, ito pala yun. Mali pala yun sa kabila. Dito pala yun. Yung may hindi mo alam, lack of foresight when the crime resulted due to the person's inability to predict the possible outcome of his action. Mali po tayo. Dito po pala yun pumapasok yung binaril mo yung langit, tapos hindi mo inisip yung mangyayari, kung may masasaktan ka or may mapapahamak na ibang tao. Sa lack of skill pala, yun yung napilayan mo yung isang tao pero ginawa mo yung best mo, pero napilayan mo yung isang tao, kaso kulang ka sa lack of skill. Kumbaga parang halimbawa na nga lang yung mga pulis na nag-self-defense sila sa sarili nila, pero nagkamali sila ng ginawa, napatay nila yung tao. Yun. Next is last na ba ito yung stages in the commission of felonies, which is attempted, not all acts done; frustrated, all acts executed but not accomplished; consummated, all acts done and accomplishment are present. Circumstances affecting criminal liability. Last one na po ito. Justifying circumstances in Article 11 are those where act of a person is said to be in accordance with law, so that such person is deemed not to have transgressed the law and is free from both criminal and civil liability. Dito sinasabi na yun nga, yung self-defense mo, kumbaga pinagtanggol mo yung sarili mo, kaya you are belong to justifying circumstances. Katulad na lamang nung mga asawa na binubugbog ng asawa nila, mga babaeng binubugbog ng asawa nila. Next is exempted circumstances are those grounds from exemption from punishment because there is lacking in the agent of the crime any of the conditions which make the act voluntary or negligent. Exempted. Katulad na lang, halimbawa na lamang to yung mga special child or merong law of mental, may law of mental siya, yung parang may halimbawa na lamang yung kunwari parang nasa gantong edad ka na pero yung isip mo pang 3 years old pa, pang 1 year old pa lang, ganun. Hindi niya naiintindihan yung tama or mali, kaya exempted siya. Pangatlo is mitigating mitigating yan circumstances in Article 13 are those which, if present in the commission of the crime, do not entirely free from criminal liability but serve only to reduce the penalty. Mitigating. Ito yung mitigating. Ito yung ito yung binababaan yung kaso niya, ganun. Parang, kasi nga, halimbawa na lamang dito yung mga sobrang tanda na nila. Kaya pwede pang ibaba yung sentensya nila. Ayun, yung sentensya nila. Or may illness na sila, may sakit na sila na pwede na silang mamatay, ganun siguro. Yun. Kaya siya natawag na mitigating. From the word mitigating, yun nga. Pwedeng bumaba o ipababa yung sentensya nila sa kaso. Next is aggravating circumstances. Ito yung kabaliktaran ng mitigating. Aggravating circumstances are those which, if attendant in the commission of the crime, serve to increase the penalty without, however, exceeding by law for the offense. Minsan dito pumapasok yung mga public officer. Yung mga public officer na tinitake advantage nila yung posisyon nila, kaya nakakagawa sila ng mali, nakakagawa sila ng crime, nakakapag-commit sila ng crime. Last is the alternative circumstance, which are those must be taken into consideration as aggravation and mitigating according to the nature and effects of the crime and the conditions attending its commission. Halimbawa na lamang nito yung kadugo mo na nag-commit ka ng crime, pero kadugo mo siya. Depende yun sa family mo, depende yun sa kaso mo. Exception din yung yung lack of education, yung kakulangan nila sa edukasyon. Yun lang. Sana may mga naintindihan po kayo sa mga diniscuss ko about sa criminal law. Lamang po. Thank you.
So, good morning guys. Ang topic natin ngayon is chapter 4, which is School of Thought in Criminology. So, School of Thought in Criminology refers to a group of beliefs or ideas that supports a scientific theory. So, ito na nga. Ang School of Thought daw, ito yung samahan ng mga tao na sumusuporta o naniniwala sa isang scientific theory. While theory naman is set of statement devised to explain behavior, events, or phenomenon, especially one that has been repeatedly tested or widely accepted. So, ang theory naman, ito yung pag-aaral na kung saan ito yung nagbibigay explanation sa mga bagay na nagagawa or kung bakit nagagawa ng isang tao na makapag-commit ng tinatawag nating crime. So, isa sa mga theory noon is tinatawag na demonological theory. Demonological theory asserts that a person commits wrongful acts due to that he was possessed by demons, no? So, dati daw yung mga tao, kaya daw sila nakakagawa ng wrongful acts because of sinasaniban daw sila ng masasamang espiritu. Pero itong theory na to na reject dahil wala namang ipinakitang scientific facts o explanation sa kung paano mapapatunayan ang theory na to. So, classical classical school of thought in criminology. This school of thought is based on the assumption that individuals choose to commit crimes after weighing the consequences of their action. So, yun na nga, no? Ang, ang sabi dito, bago daw yung isang tao makakommit ng crime, no? Ang ginagawa niya, sinusukat muna niya o inaalam muna niya kung ano yung makukuha niya doon or kung bakit niya gagawin yung crime na yon, no? According to the classical criminologists, individual has free will, no? Ayun na nga. So, doon daw, ang sabi dito, tayo raw is meron daw tayong free will na lahat daw tayo is pwedeng makapag-commit ng crime. At ang founder ng School of Criminology ay si Cesar Beccaria at Jeremy Bentham. So, Cesar Beccaria o sa full name niya is Cesar Bonesana Marchese de Beccaria. Cesar Beccaria was an Italian criminologist, jurist, philosopher, and politician who widely considered as the most talented jurist and one of the greatest thinkers of age of enlightenment. Beccaria was born on March 15, 1738 in Milan, Italy, and he was died on November 28, 1794 in Milan, Italy. Nationality. So, Italian. Children: Gualia Beccaria, Margarita Beccaria, Giovanni Annibale Beccaria, and Maria Beccaria, and Giulio Beccaria. So, si Cesar Beccaria noon is meron siyang ginawang libro, no? Meron siyang ginawang libro na ang pamagat is On Crimes and Punishment na pinublish noong 1764. Which is presented his ideas on the abolition of torture as legitimate means of extracting confessions. So, si Cesar Beccaria daw, no, ayaw niya nung torture bilang paraan ng pag-amin sa isang tao kung bakit niya nagawa yung crime na tinatawag nating crime. Beccaria argues that the effectiveness of criminal justice depend more on the certainty of punishment than of its severity. His book contains almost all modern penal reforms, but his greatest contribution was the foundation of laid subsequent changes in criminal legislation. His book was influential in the reforms of penal code in France, Russia, and Prussia, and it influenced the first 10 amendments of the US Constitution, no? So, grabe pala talaga yung naging impluwensya ng libro na ginawa ni Cesar Beccaria sa penal code. Beccaria believed that people want to achieve pleasure and pain. So, naniniwala daw siya na ang tao daw is gustong makatanggap lagi ng pleasure at hindi nung pain, no? Crimes provide some pleasure to the criminal to determine he believes that one must administer pain in appropriate amount of counterbalance the pleasure obtained from crime. Famous saying the let the punishment let the punishment beat the crime, no? So si Cesar Vicaria, guys, bag naniniwala siya na ang tao daw, no? Kung alam daw ng tao na mapaparusahan siya o may karapatang parusa sa ginawa niyang wrongful acts, no? Kumbaga parang madi-discourage siya na gawin yon. Kung daw ng tao na mapaparusahan siya o may karapatang parusa sa ginawa niyang wrongful acts, no? Kumbaga parang madi-discourage siya na gawin yon. Kumbaga parang mas pipiliin na lang niyang hindi gawin yon or matatakot siya na baka sapitin niya yung parusa na yon. Highlights of Cesar Vicaria's ideas regarding crimes and criminal justice system. Punishment that go beyond the need of preserving the public safety are in their nature unjust. Criminal law must be clear and certain. Judge must win uniform. Judgment is similar crimes. So, yun na nga. Dapat daw yung mga judge is humusga ng tama, no? Kumbaga parang kailangan dapat yung pagja-judge nila is tama, no? Walang pinapanigan mahirap o mayaman. Kailangan daw dapat pantay-pantay lahat. At kailangan kung ano yung nakomit mong crime, yun lang din yung parusa sa'yo. Kasi nga si Cesar Vicaria, kumbaga parang si Cesar, nakaano siya, no? Naka-focus siya sa punishment. Kumbaga parang prevention kasi siya eh. More on prevention siya. Prevention. The law must specify the degree of evidence that will justify the detention of an accused offender prior to his trial. Accusation must be public. So ayun na nga, no? Kailangan daw kapag ano ka na, paparusahan ka na, nakikita ka ng public. False accusation should be severely punished. So, kapag daw nagkamali ka ng husga o nagkamali ka daw ng bintang, yung parusa sa pinagbintangan mo o nagkaroon ka ng dun sa taong false accusation, yung parusa sa kanya is mas malupit kaysa sa'yo. Kasi naargabyado mo yung tao, no? To torture accused offenders to obtain a confession is inadmissible. So ayun, nakakagaya nga ng sinabi ko, si Cesar Vicaria ayaw niya ng torture, hindi siya sangayon sa paraan gano'n na para umamin yung isang tao, kailangan mo muna siyang pahirapan o saktan. The promptitude of punishment is one of the most effective cures of crime. So ayun na nga, no? Ang pinakamaganda daw gawin sa taong nakagawa ng crime o nakapag-commit ng crime is parusahan. The aim of punishment can only be prevent the criminal from committing new crimes against his countrymen and to keep others from doing likewise. Punishment, therefore, and the method of inflicting them should be chosen in due proportion to the crime so as to make the most lasting impression on the minds of men. Capital punishment is inefficacious, and its place should be substitute life imprisonment. It is better to prevent crimes. So yun ang ano. Ito yung ang kasabihan ni Cesar Vigaria is mas okay daw na maiwasan yung krimen kaysa maparusahan yung taong nakagawa ng krimen. So next is Jeremy Bentham, 1748 to 1832. Jeremy Bentham, his contribution to classical school of thought in criminology is the concept of utilitarianism and the philosophical calculus. He proposed utilitarian Hinduism, which explained the person always acts in such a way to seek pleasure and avoid pain. So, utilitarianism. Ano ba yung utilitarianism? So, utilitarianism is the philosophy which argues that what is right is the one who would cause greatest of good for the greatest number of people. Others refer to it to its as others refers to it as a greatest happiness principle or the principle of utility. From this principle, Bentham formulated the philosophic calculus. So, ano nga ba yung philosophic calculus, no? Philosophic calculus or the pleasure and pain principle is the theory that process the individual's consequence of his action by weighing the pleasure and the pain. He could drive the drive from doing this action. So, ayun ang ano. Ang theory na to, kumbaga ang sabi sa theory na to, ang tao daw, bago siya mag-commit ng crime, kumbaga parang tinitimbang muna niya kung ano yung makukuha niya sa ano na yun, no? Kung ano yung makukuha niya sa gagawin niya, kung mas matimbang ba yung pleasure kaysa sa pain or mas matimbang pa yung pain kaysa sa pleasure. So, let's talk about neo-classical criminology, no? Unang ang school natin is yung tinatawag natin School of Thought, no? Explain ko sa inyo kung bakit lumabas to si neo-classical. Si School of Thought kasi, no, nakafocus siya sa ano, sa crime na nagawa. No, nakafocus siya sa crime na nagawa, hindi sa kriminal. Kumbaga parang kahit bata ka, kahit matanda ka, kahit may saltik ka, no, kahit may tama ka sa utak, hindi, si School of Thought wala siyang paki dun sa dahilan na yun, no. Kumbaga parang basta nakagawa ka ng krimen, mapaparusahan ka. So, kaya ito yung dahilan kung bakit si neoclassical criminology is lumabas. Kasi si neoclassical criminology is taliwa siya kay School of Thought. Kasi si neoclassical criminology, naniniwala siya na ang tao is hindi naman nakagawa ng crime kasi trip lang niya, no? Naniniwala kasi siya na kapag daw yung isang tao is nakagawa ng crime is may dahilan, no? Kumbaga siguro may dahilan yun, hindi lang yung basta gagawin lang talaga yan. Kung ibig sabihin parang may dahilan, no? Siguro kung anong dahilan, siguro mga psychological, emotional, or siguro mga crime by passion, no? Yun yung ano niya, kumbaga si neoclassical naman, nakapokus siya sa dahilan ng crime na nagawa, no? Ulitin ko lang, si School of Thought, nakapokus siya sa criminal. Hindi siya nakapokus siya sa crime. Hindi siya nakapokus sa criminal. While neoclassical naman, nakapokus naman siya sa dahilan kung bakit nakakagawa ang tao ng crime. Next is positivist school of thought in criminology. So, pangatlo na to Una is school of thought. Pangalawa, neoclassical of thought in criminology. Ay, neos, ano ba dun? Pangalawa is neoclassical criminology. At pangatlo itong positivist school of thought in criminology. The term positivism refers to a method of analysis based on collection of observable scientific facts, no? Ang positivism daw, ito daw yung isang collection ng data at scientific facts, no? Positivists believe that cause of behavior can be measured and observed, no? It demands for facts and scientific proof, thus changing the study of crimes and criminals into scientific approach. Positive theories were the first to claim the importance of looking at the individual's difference among criminals. These theories, whose concentrated on the individual structure of the person, state that people are passive or controlled, whose behavior are imposed upon the biological and environmental factors. So, punta naman tayo kay Auguste Comte. Si Auguste Comte pala guys is under na siya ng ng positivist school of thought in criminology. So, Auguste Comte sa tong pangalan niya is Isidore Auguste Marie Francois Xavier Comte was a French philosopher and sociologist, and he is believed to be the one reinvented the French term sociology, no? So, siya daw yung nakaimbento ng French term sociology. At dahil sa naimbento niya yon, he is recognized as a father of sociology and positivism. Auguste Comte was born on January 1798 in Montpellier, France. He was died on September 5, 1857 on Paris, France. So guys, pag-usapan naman natin yung Holy Tree of Criminology. Kung bakit nagkaroon ng sa Holy Tree, kasi this time no, dati kasi 'di ba? Kahit ngayon, basta sikat ka, no? Meron kang bashers, no? So, ang naka-invento ng Holy Tree na to is yung mga sumusuporta sa kanilang tatlo. And then kaya naman nagkaroon ng is dahil dun sa mga bumabati ko sa kanila. So guys, pag-usapan natin si Cesar Lombroso. Cesar Lombroso was an Italian criminologist, physician, and founder of Italian School of Positivist Criminology. Lombroso rejected the established classical school, which held that crime was characteristics, traits of human nature. So, si Cesar Lombroso daw, no? Nireject niya yung classical school. Dahil si Cesar Lombroso, guys, no, naniniwala siya na yung tao daw ay yung isang criminal daw is merong karakteristik, no. Kumbaga parang si Cesar Lombroso naman is pinag-aaralan niya kung kung ano yung itsura or kung ano yung pangangatawan ng isang kriminal, no? Known for the rec- known for the concept of atavistic stigmata. So ayun na nga yung sinabi ko guys, no. He claimed that the criminals are distinguished from non-criminals due to the presence of atavistic stigmata and crimes committed by those who are born with certain recognized heredity traits, no. So ayun na sinabi ko kanina, no. Si Cesar Lombroso kasi isa siyang military doctor, no, na kung saan yung that time, no, nagkaroon siya ng pagkakataon na pag-aralan yung body build ng isang criminal sa non-criminal. So visible stigmata. Asymmetric face, large monkey-like ears, large lips, receding chin, twisted nose, long arm and skin wrinkles, no. So that time talaga, no, parang yung time ni Cesar Lombroso, kumbaga parang makita ka lang niya, no, parang maiisip na niya, papasok na isip niya na itong taong to possible na maging criminal to, or siguro itong taong to siguro criminal to, no. Kumbaga parang si Cesar Lombroso, in my own opinion, no, kumbaga parang siya is parang napaka-judgmental naman niya, no. So, three classification of criminal according to Lombroso. So guys, born criminals ka, no? Gaya ng sabi ko kanina, si Cesar Lombroso is may pagkano siya, judgmental, no? So, kapag meron kang at least 5 na characteristics ng stigmata, no? Atavistic stigmata, is pasok ka na sa tinatawag na born criminals, no? Insane criminals ka naman kapag ikaw is meron kang no, saltek, no, kumbaga may tama ka sa utak, no, kumbaga parang nakakagawa ka ng mali o nakakagawa ka ng mali dahil hindi mo alam kung ano yung tama o mali, or hindi mo maintindihan yung kumbaga parang wala kang abilidad na umintindi ng isang bagay. And then criminaloids, those with makeup of ambiguous group that includes habitual criminals and criminal by passion and other device types. So, criminal by passion pala guys. Ito yung tawag sa isang taong nakapag-commit ng crime by burst of feelings, no. Siguro may galit, yung ganon. Criminal by passion yun. So, punta naman tayo kay Enrico Ferri, 1856 to 1929. Enrico Ferri was an Italian criminologist, sociologist, and student of Cesar Lombroso, the founder of Italian School of Criminologists. While Lombroso researched the purported physiological factors motivate criminals, Ferri investigate social and economic effects, no. Habang yung teacher daw niya si Cesar, no, habang yung teacher daw niya ngayon is gumagawa ng research about sa physiological factors, itong si Enrico Ferri naman, ang ginagawa na niya is nag-iimbestiga na siya about sa social and economic effects na kung bakit ang isang tao is nakagawa ng tinatawag nating crime. He was born on February 25, 1856 sa San Benito, Po, Italy, and he was died on April 12, 1929 sa Rome, Italy. He focused his study on influence of psychological factors and sociological factors such as economic on crime. So, yung pag-aaral daw na ginawa ni Enrique Ferri is nakafocus siya sa physiological factors and sociological factors. He believed that criminals could not be held morally responsible because they did not choose to commit crimes, but rather were driven to commit crimes by conditions in their lives. Enrico Ferris, five types of criminals, no? Kung mapapansin nyo, no? Parehas lang sila ng teacher niyang si Cesar Lumoroso. Ang kaibahan nga lang, nawala lang doon, is nadagdag lang doon yung occasional at passionate, no? So, born criminals has a congenital predisposition of crime. Insane criminal suffering from some criminal from mental alienation. So, insane criminals, ito daw yung may kakulangan ka sa pag-iisip. Kaya ka nakakapit ng crimes. While habitual criminals, one who has acquired the habit for crime mainly through the ineffective measures employed by society for the prevention and repression of crime, no? Habitual criminal ka ba daw kapag habitual criminal ka daw kapag is paulit-ulit ka na lang nakakapag-commit ng crime. So, ito yung example dos guys, no, share ko lang, no, is ang my opinion is ang habitual criminal, ito yung mga ito ang example nun, ito yung mga yung mga nakikita yung mga drug addicts, no. Kumbaga parang nakulong na sila lahat, ilang beses na sila nahuli, is gumagamit pa rin, nahuhuli pa rin talaga. So yun na nga. Occasional criminal is one who commits very insignificant criminal acts more because he led astray biggest condition of life, that because they aggressive energy of a degenerated personality impulse him. So, passionate criminals is one who commit crimes because of passion or revenge. Kagaya na sinabi ko kanina, is ang passionate crimes, guys, no? Ito, passionate criminals. Ito, passionate, may motibo ka talaga, no? Motibo ng paghihiganti, ganon. Basta, may dahilan. So, punta naman tayo kay Rafael Garofalo, year 1851 to 1934. Rafael Garofalo was an Italian criminologist and jurist, and he was born on November 18, 1851, and he is died on April 18, 1934. He treated the roots of the criminal's behavior not to physical features but to their physiological equivalent, which referred to his moral anomalies, no? So, ayun na nga guys, no? Si Rafael Garofalo naman, hindi siya bumabase sa physical pictures. Kumbaga parang taliwas naman siya sa opinion o sa pag-aaral ni Cesar Lumroso. Kasi si Rafael Garofalo, naniniwala siya na is walang connect yung walang connect yung physical features na isang tao kung bakit siya nakakapag-commit ng crime at Yun is dahil naman dun nakakapag-commit siya ng crime dahil dun sa tinatawag na psychological equivalent, no? He reject the doctrine of free will, no? Isa rin, ano siya, no? Nireject din niya yung sinasabi dun sa School of Thought ba yun? Wait lang, hanapin ko lang. So, ayun na nga, no? Si Rafael Garofalo, guys, no? Ano siya? Nireject din niya yung sinasabi niya tong ni Classical School of Thought in Criminology, no? Na ang tao daw is may tayo daw, mga tao is kung gusto daw natin maging kriminal, magiging kriminal daw tayo, no? Kumbaga parang itong si ano naman, itong si Rafael Garofalo naman, hindi siya naniniwala doon dahil naniniwala siya na nakakapag-commit ang tao ng crime dahil nga meron silang dahilan. Ewan. Anong check card? He reject the talk. Sorry. Tapos na pala. Classified criminals as murderers, violent criminals, deficient criminals, and lavicious criminals. So yun na nga guys, no. Sana may natutunan kayo sa report ko nito, no. And thanks for watching and God bless.
This is my this is my presentation in chapter 5, biological and psychological determinism. Biological theories. This refers the set of theories that point to physical, sociological, and other natural factors as the causes for the commission of crimes of certain individuals. This explanation for the extent of criminal traits associates an individual's evil disposition to physical disfigurement or impairment. Ito daw ay tumutukoy sa pisikal o panlabas na anyo ng isang tao upang siya ay tawagin na isang kriminal. Physiognomy. When we say physiognomy, from the Greek word physis, meaning nature, and geomon, meaning judge or interpreter, is the practice of assessing a person's character or personality from their outer appearance, especially the face. The study of physical feature in their relation to human behavior. Ayon dito, hinuhusgahan ng isang karakter ng isang tao depende sa panlabas na anyo o physical appearance lalo na sa kanyang muka. Ang kauna-unahang tao na nag-aral ng physiognomy ay si Glam Batista de la Porta. Sino nga ba si Glam Batista de la Porta? Batista Glam de la Porta, 1535-1615, an Italian physician, founder of human physiognomy. And according to him, criminal behavior may be predicted based on facial figures of a person. Ayon sa kanya, makikitaan mo na agad kung merong criminal behavior ang isang tao depende sa kanyang imahe. And Johann Caspar Lavater, 1741-1901, a Swiss theologian who supported the belief of De La Porta. He believed that a person's character is revealed through his facial characteristics. So si Johann Caspar Lavater daw ay naniniwala sa theory ni Glam Batista de la Porta. Criminology, and or cranioscopy, the study of the external formation of the skull in relation to human behavior. Ito ay ang pag-aaral ng kulma ng bungo ng isang tao na may koneksyon sa ugali ng isang individual. Franz Joseph Gall. Sino ba si Franz Joseph Gall? 1758-1828. He was a German neuroanatomist and physiologist who developed cranioscopy. Cranioscopy is the study of the external shape of the skull in relation to the personality and tendencies towards criminal behavior. It has certain similarities to of study called phrenology. And phrenology, the study that deals with the relationship between the skull and human behavior. Franz, Franz Joseph Gall is a pioneer in the study of the localization of the mental function in the brain. And he also claimed as the founder of the pseudoscience and phrenology. Gall has an early and important researcher in his field. He was born on March 9, 1758 in Tiefenbronn, Germany, and he died on August 1828 in Paris, France. Kung kanina, may Johann Caspar Lavater, ngayon naman si Johann Caspar Spurzheim, 17, 1776 to 1832. He was a German phrenologist who worked as assistant of Franz Joseph Gall. Like Gall, he also studied phrenology and believes in its findings. Oh. Physiology or somatotype refers to the study of body build of a person in relation to his temperament and personalities and the type of offense he is most prone to commit. Ito daw ay tumutukoy sa body build o hubog ng katawan ng isang tao para siya ay maging kriminal. Ernest Kretschmer, 1888-1964, formulated his own body types as the asthenic, picnic, and dysplastic, while William Herbert Sheldon, 1898 to 1964, his body types include ectomorph, mesomorph, and endomorph. Ano-ano nga ba to? According to Kretschmer, asthenics characterized as thin and weak, payat daw na mahina, and athletic, muscular and strong. Picnic, stout, round, and fat, while dysplastic, combination of two body types. While according to Sheldon, ectomorph, tall and thin, and less social and more intellectual than other types. Mesomorph have well-developed muscles and an athletic appearance, while endomorph heavy builds and slow moving. So, tumutukoy ito na ayon kay Kretschmer yung ayon kay Kretschmer and Sheldon, parehas lang ang tinutukoy nila. This is the example of mesomorphic body build: large, strong, hard physique, active, dynamic, assertive, and forceful. Endomorphic body types: fat, round physique, luxury, sloth, consumption. While ectomorphic body type: frail, skinny, gangly physique, introverts, cunning, and stealth. Heredity. What is heredity? The transmission of traits from parents to offspring. Richard Louis Dugdale, 1841-1883, conducted a study of Duke's family by researching their family tree as far back 200 years. He discovered that most of the ascendants of the Duke were criminals. Karamihan daw sa mga ascendants ng Jokes family ay mga kriminal. Ayon kay Richard Louis Dugdale, ayon sa kanyang Jokes family, 76 dito ay convicted criminals, 18 brothel keepers. Yung brothel keepers daw ay yun yung tinutukoy nila na bahay aliwan. And 120 prostitutes, 200 homeless, 680 admitted as alcoholic, while two mentally insane. And the Jukes family cost the state $420,000. Henry Herbert Goddard, 1866-1957. He traced the descendants of the Martin Kallikak from each of his two wives and found a distinct difference in terms of quality and life of descendants. Ang pinag-aralan naman niya ay ang mga anak. Naniniwala siya na ang pagiging kriminal ay namamana. Yun ang paniniwala ni Henry Herbert Goddard. Charles Bachman Goring, 1870 to 1919. He was an English physician and psychiatrist who published a book entitled The English Convict. He believed that criminal traits can be passed from parents to offspring to a genes. Naniniwala siya na ang pagiging ang criminal ay napapasa sa genes ng mga magulang. He proposed the individual who possessed criminal characteristics should be prohibited to having a children. So, propose niya na ang individual na may criminal characteristic daw ay hindi pwede magkaroon ng mga anak. Sociological determinism. This refers to the theories that attribute criminal behavior of individuals to psychological factors such as emotional and mental problems. Sociologists have considered a variety of possibilities: defective conscience, emotional immaturity, indicate childhood socialization, maternal deprivation, and poor moral development. Intelligence as a factor in criminality. The classic studies of the Jukes and Kallikak families were among the first and show that feeble-mindedness or low intelligence can be inherited and transferred from one generation to the next. Numerous tests were also conducted that lead to develop of the use of IQ tests as testing procedure of offenders. The very first results seemed to confirm that offenders have low mental abilities and they were found to be mental impaired. Alfred Binet. Sino nga ba si Alfred Binet? Siya ang kauna-unahang tao na nag-develop ng first IQ test. The test measured the capacity of individual children to perform tasks or solve problems in relation to the average capacity of their peers. Sigmund Freud, 1856 to 1893. From among the many theories regarding the relationship of psychology and crime, the psychoanalytic theory by Sigmund Freud is the most notable. The mere mention of his name, the theory that immediately comes to mind is psychoanalytic theory, and he also called as a founder of psychoanalysis theory. Sigmund Freud, known for his psychoanalytic theory, according to him, criminality is caused by an imbalance of the three components of personality: the id, the ego, and the superego. Ano-ano nga ba ito? Id. It represents unconscious biological drives for sex, food, and other life-sustaining necessities. It follows the pleasure principles, while ego is the part of personality that compensate for the demands of the id by helping the individual guide his or her action to remain with the boundaries of social convention. It is also known as the relative principle. Si ego daw ang kumokontrol kay id, while superego, it is the moral aspect of an individual personality. It is the conscience. So si superego daw siya ay yung konsensya.
So, good morning, ma'am. So, our discussion is all about chapter 6, the sociological determinism. So, what is sociological determinism? Under of this is the sociological theories. Sociological factors refers to the things, places, and people with whom we come in contact with, and which play a part in determining our action and conducts. This cause may bring about the development of criminal behavior. So, ang sociological theories ay tumutukoy sa bagay, lugar, at mga taong ating nakakasalamuha sa pang-araw-araw nating pamumuhay na kung saan may contribution para tayo ay gumawa ng isang criminal behavior. So, next. So, si Emile Durkheim ay ipinanganak noong 1851 and namatay noong 1971. So, he is a French sociologist who published his dissertation called The Division of Labor in Society. And also, he stated the crime is a normal part of society is just like a birth and death. And also proposed the concept of anomy, or the absence of social norms. It is characterized by disorder due to lack of common values shared by individual, lack of respect for authority, and lack of appreciation for what is acceptable and not acceptable in society. Next naman ay si Gabriel Tarde. Gabriel Tarde is born in the year 1843 and died in the year of 1904. He introduced the theory of imitation, which proposes the process by which people become criminals. And also, according to him, that this theory individuals imitate the behavior of other individual based on the degree of their association with individual and its inferior or weak who tend to imitate the superior strong. So, ang theory of imitation ay tumutukoy sa mga taong ini-imitate yung superior or weak na side ng isang tao na kung saan ay bumabase in the degree of their association with other individual. So, next. Adolphe Quetelet and Andre Michel Guéry, founder of Cartographic School of Criminology, and also founder of a moral statistics. Cartographic School of Criminology made use of statistic data such as population, age, gender, occupation, religious affiliation, and social economic status, and their influence and relationship to criminality. This study also found connection between climate, weather, and geographical location to the tendencies to commit crimes of certain individuals. So, the modern sociological theories of crimes causation. Environment factors such as the kind of rearing or family upbringing, quality of teaching in school, influences of peers and friends, conditions of the neighborhood, and economic others societal factors are believed to be contributory to crime and criminal behavior. So let's go to the social structure theories. So the social structure theories refers not only to the physical features of the communities but also the way society is organized. It includes such things as level of poverty and unemployment and the amount of crowded housing, which are believed to affect behavior and attitude of individuals, which in turn contribute to the commission of crime. It's also called social environment. It includes social disorganization theory, strain theory, and cultural deviance theory. So, ang social structure theories ay tumutukoy sa mga lugar na hindi organized, na kung saan ay example nito ay yung mga taong walang ay ay mahihirap na kung saan ay bumabase lamang sila sa um, kung ano lamang ang meron diyan. Na kung minsan ay gumagawa sila ng mga krimen kasi wala na silang mahanap na trabaho kaya dumidepende nilang sila dun. Next. Under of this is the social disorganization theory. This theory popularized by Clifford Shaw and Henry Mackay. According to this theory, crimes in urban areas are more prevalent because residents have impersonal relationship with each other. It increase in the number of broken families in single parenthood are also very common in disorganized communities. Another feature of disorganized community is poverty. Poverty as evidenced by poor living conditions such as rundown houses, unsanitary and unsightly streets, and high unemployment rates. So, ang social disorganization theory ay tumutukoy sa bilang ng mga nasirang pamilya na may na iniwanan ng kanilang mga pamilya tulad ng walang tatay, walang nanay. Na yung kanilang society is hindi masyadong disorganized at walang masyadong trabaho na nagre-resulta ng kanilang mahirap na pamumuhay. Next. Number 2, strain theory. Strain refers to the individual's frustration, anger, and resentment. It holds that crime is a function of the conflict between the goals people have in the means they can use to legally obtain them. This also argues that the ability to obtain these goals is class dependence. Members of the lower class are unable to achieve these goals, which come easily to those belonging to the upper class. Consequently, they feel anger, frustration, and resentment referred to as strain. So, ang strain theory ay tumutukoy sa taong madaling ma-frustrate at magalit, na kung saan kung di nila ito mapipigilan, ay gumagawa sila ng mga krimen, na minsan ay ito'y nagiging dahilan kung bakit sila makakagawa ng isang bagay na di nila inaasahan. That's all. Thank you.
This is our presentation, Chapter 6, Sociological Determinism. Number 3, Cultural Deviance Theory. Give emphasis on the concept of culture and subculture. According to this theory, because people in the lower class feel isolated due to extreme deprivation or poverty, they tend to create a subculture with its own set of rules and values. This is characterized by deviant behavior which result in criminal behavior among its members. In cultural deviance theory, nakapaloob po dito sa teoryang to na ang mga taong lower class, feeling nila nakahiwalay na sila dahil mahirap sila, hindi na sila pwedeng makisalamuha sa mga middle class, ganun, sa mga mayayaman. Dito po, may sarili na po silang paniniwala. Ganun. Number 4. Social process theory refers to a group of theories which point to the individual's socialization process as the cause for the communication of crimes. These theories cite interaction with people and experience and exposure to different elements in the environment as primary factors to criminality. Under this theory, in the social learning theory, which in turn has three sub-theories: differential association theory, differential reinforcement theory, and neutralization theory. Sa social process po, may tatlong sub-theories: differential association theory, differential reinforcement theory, and neutralization theory. Number 1. Differential association theory. Formulated by Edwin Sutherland, this theory states that criminal behavior is learned through socialization. Yung criminal behavior po, ayon kay Edwin Sutherland, nakukuha po through socialization, socialize sa mga taong may ugaling kriminal. Criminal behavior is learned in interaction with other person in a process of communication. Yung criminal behavior, nakukuha nila sa pakikipag-interact sa mga tao na nakakasalamuhan nila. Number 2, differential reinforcement theory. In 1965, Ronald Ackerson, assistant professor at the University of Washington, and Robert Burgess came together to introduce differential reinforcement theory. According to this theory, individual's behavior depends on how people around him react towards his behavior. An act that is rewarded to repeated, and act that is punished will be avoided. In 1965, si Ronald Akers po ang assistant ng professor ng Universidad ng Washington, at si Robert Burgess na pumunta kasama siya para i-introduce nila yung reinforcement theory. Ayon sa teoryang to, ang isang individual na ugali nakadepende sa taong nakakasalamuha niya ayon sa kanyang pag-uugali. Number 3, neutralization theory, introduced by David Matza and Gresham Skies, sometimes referred to as drift theory. According to this theory, people know when they are doing something wrong. However, they rationalizing is what we call neutralization. Social reaction theory, more commonly called labeling theory. It states that people become criminal when significant members of society label them as such and they accept those labels as a personality identity. Social control theories maintain that everyone has the potential to become criminal, but most people are controlled by their bonds to society. Social control refers to agencies of social control such as family, school, religion, or church, government, and law, and other identified authorities in society. There are two sub-theories: containment theory and social bond theory. Containment theory, proposed by Walter Reckless. He states the inner and outer containments help prevent juvenile offending, pressure and pulls towards delinquency are everywhere. Containment means are forces within and outside the individuals that has the power to influence his actions. Inner containments includes positive self-concept, tolerance for frustration, and an ability to realistic goals. Outer containments include family, friends, law, social, position that can control behavior. Yung containment po, ibig sabihin, yung yung nakokontrol na po siya ng na-impluwensya na po siya ng mga kasamahan niya na gumawa ng kung ano-ano, ganun. Sa inner containments naman po, nakapaloob dito yung positive self-concept, tolerance, frustration, and an ability to realistic goals. Self-esteem. Outer containments include family, friends, law, social, position that can control behavior. Sa outer containments naman po, kasama po dito ang family niya. Kaya po siyang nakakontrol po siya ng family niya, friends, law, social. May takot po siya sa kanila. May takot po siya dyan. Social band theory, propagated by Travis Hirschi. This theory views crimes as a result of individuals with weakened bonds to social institution. According to this theory, there are 4 elements of social bonds: attachment, commitment, involvement, and belief. Attachment refers to the degree to which an individual care about the opinions of others. Sa attachment po, naka-refers po dito yung ang individual, pinapahalaga niya po yung opinion ng isang tao o others, kung sino. Commitment refers to an individual's investment of energy and emotion in conventional pursuit, such as getting good grades. Dito po parang na-impluwensya ng isang individual na mag-invest ng energy conventional pursuit such as getting good grades, na gumawa ng mga pinapagawa sa kanya, ganun. Involvement refers to the amount of time an individual spend on conventional pursuit. Belief refers to acceptance of the norms of conventional society. That's all, ma'am. Thank you.
Good day po. My name is Brixep Quitoras, BS Crim 1A. Ang chapter po namin, chapter 7, Victimology. So traditional criminology focus on individual who prepared into crime. The criminal, however, starting the 1940s, a new approach was introduced which give an added dimension to this field at study. This approach involved the study of victim of crime, and it's called victiminology. Brief history of victiminology. Benjamin Mendelssohn, who coined the term victimology in 1940s. He was a lawyer from Bucharest, Romania, who developed a scientific method for the study of criminal acts that utilize biopsychosocial data on the criminal, that victim, and the Benjamin Mendelssohn, who called the term victimology in 1940s. Si Mendelssohn po ay gumawa at nag-devise siya ng typology according to degree of responsibility of the victim and victimization. Tsaka meron din po siyang 6 na victim. 6 na victim. Meron po siyang ginawang victim na classification of victims according to Mendelssohn. Innocent victim. Someone who did not contribute to the victimization in it is the wrong place at the wrong time. This is in the victim who most often invention when thinking about enhanced victim right. So, yung influence victim, ito ay tumutukoy sa isang tao na wala siyang contribution or hindi siya nagbigay ng kahit ano contribution kung bakit siya naging victim. Ayun po, ano siya, di man lang siya nagbigay ng contribution kung bakit siya naging victim. Parang di siya nagbigay ng mensahe, mga ganun po. The victim with minor goal does not actively participate of the whole victimization but contribution into some minor degree, such as frequency, high crime in areas. That would be a person that continue to go the bar. That is no for nightly assault. 3. The guilty victim offender. Victim and offender might have engaged in criminal active together. This is would two people attempting to steal a car, rob a store, sell the drugs each. Those who are the accessories to the crime fall within the category they actually happen with their victimized. Guilty offender, guilty victim. The victim must have been a primary attacker, but the offender won the fight. 5. Guilty victim. The victim mitigate conflict but was killed in self-defense. An example would abuse woman killing her partner who is abusing. Imaginary victim. Some people pretend to be victim and are not. That would be someone falsifying report or those person suffering from mental illness disorder would believe they are victim. So Hans von Hentig, a German scholar of the truth in the University of the United States, wrote an article called "The Criminology and His Victim" and published in 1941. He also developed his own typology theories of 13 categories based in physiology, sociology, social and biological factors in contrast to Mendelssohn category on guilt and responsibility, recording of the father of victimology, but it other textbook credits Mendelssohn. Tsaka ay si Hans von Hentig po. A German scholar who taught at the University of the United States. Si Hans po ay gumawa siya ng isang libro na ang title is the Criminal and His Victim and published in 1941. Si von Hentig victim typology, the young people. Von Hentig was separating the children and infant from the contemporary point of view. Children are pathology work, have less mental prowess for fewer. Legal right and the organization department of the caretaker, parent, guardian, teacher, and so forth. They are also have to potential to be exposed to a wider range of the harm that adult. Moreover, they are less able to defend themselves and sometimes less likely to be believed should they seek assistance. That include children who suffer emotional, physical, and sexual abuse at home because of abusive parents. Children who are bullied at school because of some aspect of their appearance or personality. and children who are forced into act of prostitution or sold into slavery by a previous parent each suffer different levels and frequencies of exposure to different kind of harms. The female, bonantic separating to all women. From the contemporary point of view, many women are physical warfare. The men, many have been cultural conditioned to varying degrees to accept male authority, and men, women, and the financial dependent on the men in their life, father, husband, and so forth, to make a matter.
Stephen Scapper. He wrote the first textbook written about victim and was published 1968, entitled Illustration to Victim of Crime. He also wrote a book entitled The Victim of His Criminal. Scapper was a lawyer born in Budapest, Hungary, taught criminology at Politic in Central London. Inocol University, Western. May libro siya na ang pangalan ay The Victim of Criminology. He was also professor of sociology, Northern University, Boston, Massachusetts. Isa din siyang professor ng sociology at Northern University in Boston. Types of victim according to Scapper. Scapper proposed 7 types of victim responsibility or victim posture when are essentially or variation on the work of one hunting. Number 1. Related victims, no victim responsibility. Provocate victims, victim share responsibility. Receptive victims, some degree or responsibility. Biological weak victims, no responsibility. Social weak victim, no responsibility. Self-victimizing, total victim responsibility. Political victims or no responsibility. Victimology. Victimology is the study of victimization, including relationship between victims and offender, the interaction between victim or criminal justice system. It also depends as the systematic study of physical, emotional, and financial harm people suffer because of illegal activities. The victim. Victim is the person to whom the crime was committed. He is also referred to as the complainant or offender party. Victim can either direct or primary victim or indirect secondary victim. Sa victimology ay yung offender ang yun. Direct or primary victim is the person who actually harm because if the commission of office victim of rape, thief, robbery, physical injuries, some example of direct primary victim. Indirect secondary victim refer to the family or loved ones of the victim, such in case of murder or homicide. Victim typology. Victim typology refers to the classification of victims based on the type of crime usually committed or likely to be committed against them based on their demographic profile such as gender, age, occupation, location, residence, or place of work, and the like. Addition concept of victim. Victim-offender relationship. report the relationship between offender and vice versa. It could be that victim personnel know as offender may be actually related to him by blood, or they may be co-worker, neighbors or classmate, or even relationship with each other. A relationship could be factor as to why he or she was victimized by the offender. Yung victimized offender relationship, mga kakilala o mga nakakahalubilo niya sa o kahit kadugo, kaibigan, pwedeng maging victim. Victim facilitation. It happened the victims are acknowledged carelessly, neglectfully, and inadvertently make it easier for the criminal to commit a crime. Dito naman, yung mga nagsasawalang bahala, kaya sila nagkukumit ng crime. Victim culpability or provocation. The victim culpability provocation, the victim considered to be even more responsible for this crime than the offender herself. For victim resistance, refer to offer to victim to fight or repel or offender someone victim are strong enough to fight back, such as male with good body build for who pass from knowledge and skill in self-defense. It likes manner females are generally considered weaker, which make them easy to target offenders. Some people are also emotional weaker to give it easily to the demand of offender, while some people have stronger willpower to resist. Dito naman, yung mga lalaki daw ay mga babae na madaling ng crime kasi mahihina ang kanilang pangangatawan, kaya na mas malalakas sa kanila, kaya madali silang na ng crime. Victim vulnerability refer to the tendency to become victimized without any fault on his part. Such person easily become victim because of his personal circumstances such as age or stage of mental health. Dito naman, yung mga bata, mga ganun, or may mga kapansanan, yun ang mga daling mabiktima ng masamang loob. Victim blame. It is very common to hear people blame a victim for the crime commit against him. Sometimes even the victim blame herself. In some ways, this is good because it shows the people are aware the crime can be prevented. It protects ourselves from criminals. However, it can be also negative things because when we start blaming or the victim, it's like removing the blame to the offender. This can make offender feel like it is your fault that they victimize you. Ito naman, kasalanan mo din kung mabibiktima kasi kung tawag dito, maagap ka, hindi ka mabibiktima ng kahit ano. Victim patterns. The age, gender, marital status, education background, level of intellectual income, occupation, lifestyle, or habits. Victims, offender, relationship, psychology are some of the factors that affect victimized risk. Result of various studies reveal that in terms of gender, male are more likely to become robbery, physical injuries, It is termed become economic status to poor most likely to become victim of crimes because they live in area that are crime prone. Mga nakatira sa mga dikit-dikit na bahay o mga eskinita, yun ang madaming nagkakaroon ng mga crimes. In the terms of martial status, undermarried or never been married, individuals are victimized more often than married people. This could be because married people tend to have more stable routine and less activity social lives. Ito naman yung mga nagsasama na hindi pa kasal. Ayun ang madali nabibiktima naman ng mga aabuso kaysa sa mga married na dahil dito yung mga nakakasama nila ay kabisado na nila. Ecology referred to the location or place of commission to crime according to static victimization occur more large urban or areas or rural area. Ito naman yan, no? Sa pinakamaraming mga sa isang lugar o areas, mga location ng mga crime na mas marami sa community.
Good day everyone. This is my report about criminal psychology. What is criminal psychology? It's defined as the study of human behavior in relation to criminality. Yung criminal psychology daw is one of the scientific methods na ginagamit natin para maunawaan and to study the behavior of a criminal. Next, psychology. Psychology naman, not only to behavior and it focus to mental process ng mga tao. When we say behavior, it refers to the observable action or observable responses of a person. While mental process, we are talking about to those not directly observable that are referring to a wide range of complex mental process like thinking, imagining, and studying, and dreaming. Next. Ito naman yung aspect in the study of general psychology. May dalawa yan. Yung una, adjustment. Adjustment naman, when we say adjustment, we are talking about the continuous process ng pag-a-adjust of attempting to overcome o paano natin malalagpasan ng mga inner or outer problems na dumadating sa buhay natin to satisfy our needs. Next is frustration. Frustration naman, this is the condition of being thwarted in the satisfaction of a motive. Lumalabas yung frustration tuwing may mga bagay tayong hindi nakukuha na nagpapasaya sa atin. Next, abnormal psychology. Ano ba yung abnormal psychology? It's the study of maladjustment among mental, social, and emotional deviants. When we say abnormal psychology, this another are of the study of psychology, so it's also known as abnormal behavior. When we say abnormal psychology, it is the study of the maladjustment among mental, social, and emotional deviants of a person. Next. Mental health. Ito naman yung mga bagay na kaya refers to the individual's state of adjustment to himself and to his environment with a maximum of effectiveness and satisfaction. yung mga bagay na naisip ng isang tao o kaya minsan lumalala sila. O ito yung mga nababaliw. Emotional problem. Kapag ang isang tao ay walang kakayang cope or i-handle ang mga frustration, conflicts, challenges, and difficulties sa buhay, doon nagkakaroon ng emotional problem na nagiging isa sa reason kung bakit ang mga tao ay gumagawa ng krimen. It can result to mental disorder. Abnormal reaction to frustration. When we say may dalawang uri ng abnormal reactions to frustration. Yung una, yung neurosis. When we say neurosis, it is a mild form of mental disorder that can usually be cured by therapy. Ito yung di ganun siya kalala na kaya naman gamutin basta madaanan sa therapy. Yan. Tapos pero kapag psychosis naman, tumama sa'yo. Yung psychosis, this is a severe mental disorder na nakakapekto talaga sa concept of reality ng isang tao. Ito ang mahirap gamutin pero kayang i-manage sa pamamagitan ng medication or therapy or confinement sa mental para mas masubaybayan yung tao sa kanyang paggaling. Classification of mental disorder. Mental disorder is generally defined as a prolonged or recurring problem that seriously interferes with an individual's ability to live a satisfying personal life and function adequately. May mga ano tayo, classification of mental disorder. Ito yung una. Factors or causes of criminal behavior. First, schizophrenia. Ito yung malalang uri ng mental disorder kung saan nagkakaroon ng hallucination, delusion, and disorganized behavior. Yan ang psychotic symptoms ng schizophrenia. Yung hallucination, yung nakakaisip na tayo ng mga bagay-bagay pero di naman totoo. Yung delusion naman, yung parang tamang hinala. Ganun. Tapos may subcategories of schizophrenia. Yung A, paranoid schizophrenia. Is characterized by auditory hallucination and delusion, such as thoughts of being persecuted by others or thoughts. Next. Ito pala, may kinds of delusion. Yung delusion of grandeur. Yung delusion of grandeur, kung saan naniniwala siya na kaya niyang gawin ang kahit ano na tingin niya meron siyang special powers. Ayun yung mga delusion. Next, delusion of preference. Ito naman ay tamang hinala o siya yung tinitignan pero hindi naman totoo. Yung hinala lang niya na baka atakihin siya o saktan siya ng mga tao. 3. Delusion persecutory. Dito naman, naniniwala yung isang tao kapag meron siyang ganito. Naman, siya na lahat ng mga tao ay sinusubukan na saktan siya o may planong masama sa kanya. Next na subcategory ng schizophrenia. Ito naman yung disorganized schizophrenia. When we say disorganized schizophrenia, nagkakaroon ng confusion pagdating sa pananalita or nagiging childish yung may sakit ng ganito at nagkakaroon ng neglect emotional swings and often extreme neglect of personal appearance and hygiene. Ito yung naisip na niya na wala na siyang pake sa hygiene niya. Okay na sa kanya kahit madungis siya, gano'n. Hindi niya naisip yung hygiene niya. Next. Number 2 ng factor ng mental disorder. Mood disorder. Yung mood disorder nakapokus sa emotional state ng isang tao na kung saan naapektuhan na ang mga thoughts ng isang tao. Merong categories yung mood disorder. A, yung depression. Ito na yung, dito yung papasok yung sa depression, wawalan ng tiwala sa sarili at interest sa ginagawa niya na nagpapasaya sa kanya. Ayun yung depression. Yung mga taong nagsusuicide, ganun. Next, bipolar disorder. It's marked by fluctuation between episodes of depression and mania. Mania is defined as feeling of extreme excitement or elation. Next na factor ng mental disorder. Anxiety disorder. This disorder are characterized by psychological signs of anxiety and feelings of tension, apprehension, and fear. Dito yung mga sa anxiety, may mga takot ka lang. Lumalabas yung mga fear. Ito yung categories of anxiety. First, phobia. Phobia is characterized by an intense irrational fear that is out of all proportion to the possible danger of the object or situation. Ito yung mga taong may takot kunyari sa tubig. Ayan, may phobia sila sa tubig, ayaw nila pumunta doon, ganun. Tapos meron naman yung sa dugo, ganun. B, obsessive compulsive disorder or mas kilalang OCD. Ito naman yung useful or irrational idea, usually disturbing and unwelcome that persistently pursues itself to the consciousness of an individual, that which usually an obsession was imposed to carry out a compulsion. Ayun yung OCD. Next, personality disorder. May dalawang uri ng personality disorder. Una, yung paranoid personality disorder. Ano ba yung paranoid personality disorder? Ito yung nagkakaroon ng distrust sa mga tao sa paligid niya. Parang naisip niya yung mga wala siyang tiwala, ganun. May magagawang masama sa kanya ito. Next, antisocial personality disorder. Ito naman yung mga example na ito yung mga taong ganito yung serial killer. Ayun yung mga nagagawa nila sa tao yung mga karumal-dumal na krimen. Next, sexual device or sexual aberration. Yung one very important aspect in the study of criminal psychology is the cause of the behavior of sexual offenders. Ayun yung sexual deviance. Paraphilia refers to a condition which a person derives sexual gratification from performing certain activities or from objects that are not sexual in nature. Ito yung intense sexual arousal to unconventional stimuli. When we say paraphilia, it's a medical or behavioral science term which is also referred to a sexual deviation. Deviation, so sexual anomaly, sexual perversion, or sexual disorder. Ganun. Ito yung mga common forms of paraphilia. First, pedophilia. Deriving sexual gratification from engaging in sexual activities with children. Ito yung pag nagkakaroon yung tao ng sexual intercourse sa mga bata. And yung parang mahilig sila sa bata. Ganun. Next, exhibitionism. Deriving sexual gratification from exposing one's genitals in public. Yung parang mga taong pinapakita nila yung mga masiselan nilang part ng katawan. Next, fetishism. Deriving sexual gratification from specific objects. Example are underwear, shoes, pantyhose, etc. Ito yung mga taong nahumaling sa mga ganung bagay. Parang masaya sila pag nakakita ng ganun, mga, mga underwear or ganun. Next, proteurism, deriving sexual gratification from rubbing one's body against stranger. Ito yung mga biglaan na lang ng hipo, ganun. Ayan, ng hipo. Parang part ng rape. Next, sexual masochism, deriving sexual gratification from inflicting pain or humiliation to himself or by others, including theoretic asphyxia during sexual intercourse. Parang ito yung yung parang gusto mo yung nasasaktan mo yung ka-partner mo kapag nagkaroon kayo ng sexual intercourse. Next, sexual sadism, deriving sexual gratification from inflicting pain or humiliation on others during sexual intercourse. Next, transvestic fetishism, deriving sexual gratification from wearing clothing usually worn by the other sex. Yan yung sinusuot mo yung gamit, yung damit nila, yung mga naka-sexual intercourse mo. Voyeurism, sound peeping, deriving sexual gratification from secretly watching people undressing, dressing up, or having sexual intercourse with somebody else. Ito yung also known as stalking or pervert, ganun. Yung pinapanood nila yung mga tao na naninilip, ganun. Necrophilia, deriving sexual gratification from having sexual intercourse with a dead body. Ito yung gumagawa siguro ng krimen ng ganito, yung mga balsamador. Kasi sila yung mas nakakasalumo sa mga dead body, ganun. Kaya nagagawa nila yung makipag-sexual intercourse sa patay. Zoophilia, animals, deriving sexual gratification from having sexual intercourse with animals, also called bestiality. Ito yung mga taong mas gusto makipagtalik sa hayop. Parang naumaling sila sa hayop, ganun. That's all. Thank you.
So guys, my name is Eldon Espiritu and I will discuss chapter 9 of Crim 101. So chapter 9, crime typologies. Typologies is a manner of classifying according to general types. It consists of classifying offenses and offenders into categories defined by some common denominators. So tumutulong ito para tukuyin kung sino ang offenses and offenders sa iba't ibang kategorya. So, typologies are useful because they assist in providing clues as to the different factors that can lead to criminal behavior. So, malaking tulong ang typologies dahil nakakapagbigay ito ng mga clues para malaman kung anong kategorya ba ang kinukumit ng isang tao o kinukumit na crime ng isang tao. So, under ng crime typologies na madalas magamit sa mga krimen ay ang violent crimes, economic crimes, at ang public order crimes. So, unahin na natin ang violent crime. So, violent crimes, the use of force without excuse of justifiable cause to achieve a goal at the expense of victim. So, dito sa pagcommit ng crime, sa pagcommit ng ganitong klaseng crime, kinakailangan natin gumamit ng puwersa o force para maisakatuparan natin yung gusto nating mangyari sa biktima. It is use of physical force, threats, or intimidation by one person against together. So, violence could be the primary motive of the offender, such as when he commits the crime of murder, rape, or serious physical injuries. So, kapag siya ay gagawa ng krimen, katulad na lamang ng rape, murder, physical injury, o kahit anong crime na ginagamitan ng force. So, under ng violent crimes ay ang murder. So, A. Murder. Murder is the unlawful killing of any person, which is not parricide or infanticide, provided that any of the enumerated circumstances is present. So, pag sinabi nating parricide, ito yung killing of our family or one member of our family. And pag sinabi nating infanticide, from the word itself, infant, so killing a child or baby who 3 days old below. So infant, mga baby. So the enumerated circumstances being referred to are the 6 circumstances provided by the law that would complete elements for the crime of murder. Of the 6 circumstances, 3 involves the use of violence. So, tatlo lang yung kasama dun sa violence. So, with treachery, taking advantage of, with treachery, pagtatraidor, taking advantage of the superior strength, with the aid of armed men or employing means to weaken the defense, or means or person to ensure of afford impunity. So, treachery, pagtatraidor, ginagamitan, for example, sa mataas na posisyon ng isang tao kumpara sa iba. And by means of inundation, paglalason, pagsusunog, vessel, derailment, or assault upon a railroad, fall of an airship, pagpapabagsak sa mga airships, by means of motor vehicles, or with the use of any other means involving great waste and ruins. So, number 3, with cruelty, by deliberately and inhumanly augmenting the suffering of the victim, of outraging or scoffing at his person or corpse. So, mga pagpapahirap, pagtotorture, at hindi makataong pagpapahirap sa mga tao na minsan humahantong pa sa kanilang pagkamatay, or corpse or dead body. So, kinds of murder. Mass murder is the killing of several people at one location that begins and ends with a few minutes or hours, usually with the death of the killer by suicide. So, dito na pumapasok yung mga suicide bombing. Pupunta sila sa isang mataong lugar na kung saan doon nila gaganapin yung krimen sa mabilisang paraan. From the term mass itself, it can be surmised that the killings involve several victims. So, maraming kasama. So, studies reveals that the most mass murders are motivated by hatred. So, pagkainggit o dislikes, hatred. So, under ng mass murderers ay ito ay dinivide sa dalawa. So, unahin na natin ng those who specific targets the killer believed to have caused them stress. So, naniniwala silang yun ang dahilan ng kanilang pagkabalisa o stress. Pangalawa ay ang those who attack targets having no connection with the killer, but who belongs to group the killer dislikes, such as prostitutes. So, tumungo naman tayo sa spree murder. Spree murder is the killing of several people at different location over a period or several days. Thus, spree murder implies senseless killing done by a person Both mass murder and spree murder are usually committed with the use of firearms, which make it possible for the offenders to kill several victims with a short of period of time. So, sa spree murder, pareho lang siya ng mass murder. Pero, ito, different location naman siya. And then, gumagamit din siya ng firearms sa pag-commit ng crime. So, maaari siyang gumamit ng bomba para makapag-commit ng crime na nasa ibang lugar siya. O firearms, mga snipers, mga ganon. And then, serial murder. Serial murder is the killing of 3 or more victims over an extended period of time. A period of time with a cooling off period in between kills. The term serial is derived from the continuous or continuing interval. So, from the word interval, ibig sabihin may pagitan. Halimbawa, magkukumit ka ng crime sa araw na ito. And then, 3 days after, papatay ka ulit. O mangre-rape. Pagkatapos ng 3 days, ganun ulit. So, may interval na nagaganap sa pag-commit mo ng crime. We have 4 types of serial killer. Unahin na natin ng types of serial killer. Unahin na natin ang visionary serial killer. This type of serial killers are typically out of touch with reality. So, ibig sabihin, wala sa mundo natin, out of the world siya. So, maybe psychotic or schizophrenic and feel impelled to commit murder by vision or voices in his head. He is stereotypical dysfunctional loner. So, may bumubulong sa utak niya na siya lamang yung nakakarinig. So, dito na papasok ang stereotypical dysfunction loner. Ang kadalasan ng mga taong ganito ay yung may mga sakit na mental disorder. So, pangalawa, yung mission-oriented serial killer. This type of serial killer feel it is their mission. So, mission na nila na pumatay, life to kill a certain kinds of people such as prostitutes and homosexual. They do not have vision or hear voices to telling them to kill. So, feeling nila mission na nila ang pumatay. Iniisip nila na simula na sila ipinanganak na mission na nila ang pumatay ng tao o mag-commit ng crime. It's either prostitutes or homosexuals, mga ganun. So, hedonistic serial killer. This type of serial killer comprises the majority of serial killer. They kill for thrills, engaging in pervert or sexual activity. The hedonistic killer is such a self-centered psychopath that he considers someone's life less important than his sexual pleasure. So, pumapatay sila for thrills and for sexual activity. Kadalasang gumagawa dito, kadalasang ginagawa nila, nire-rate muna nila bago nila patayin. So, para sa kanila, mas mahalaga ang buhay nila. O mas mahalaga yung kanilang sexual pleasure kaysa sa buhay ng ibang tao. So, pang-apat ay ang power control serial killers. This type of serial killer gain more satisfaction from exercising complete power over their victims rather than from bloodlust. Although sexual activity is almost always involved, like hedonistic serial killer. The power or control serial killer frequently suffer from some form of sexual inadequacy. So, complete power nakalagay dyan. parang ano sila, ganado sila eh, power, ano ba to, gain more satisfaction from exercising complete powers over their victims. So parang kapag pumapatay sila, nagiging ano sila, parang feeling nila sa sarili nila mas lumalakas pa sila. So pumunta naman tayo sa pumunta naman tayo sa mutilation and physical injuries. So mutilation means the cutting off of some parts of body, as in cutting of finger or fingers, the hands, the ears, or the penis. So, pagpuputol o pagtatanggal ng isang bahagi ng katawan ng tao, katulad na lamang ng kamay, braso, tenga, pati na rin yung ari ng lalaki. So, physical injuries, it may be committed by wounding, beating, assaulting, or disseminating injuries substance. So, wounding, beating, and assaulting may be done by using a weapon that can inflict physical pain and injury, such as knife, ice pick, baseball bat, or any other similar items that can be used as weapon, which is injurious substance, can be poison or other chemical that can cause physical injury, whether internal or external. So sa physical injury, maaaring dito magkaroon ka ng sugat, magkapilay ka, may sumakit sa'yo, kung ano man ng pinukpok ka, sinaksak ka, so nabalian ka ng buto, ganun. Ayun yung physical injuries. So pumunta naman tayo sa rape. The U.S. Federal Bureau of Investigation defines as the carnal knowledge of a female forcibly and against her will. Based on this definition, victims are always a female. So ayon sa US Federal Bureau of Investigation, ang pinaka nabibiktima ng rape ay ang babae, dahil nga sa mas malakas ang lalaki kaysa sa babae. So one very important element of rape is the use of physical force. So dapat kapag sinabing rape, dapat ginamitan niya ng force o lakas para i-commit niya yung crime na tinatawag na rape. So, or violence by the offender against the female victim, so babae, because of the natural difference in physical strength between males and females. So sinabi ko nga kanina, mas iba ang lakas ng lalaki sa babae. So punta naman tayo sa types of rapists. So anger rapists. So this type of rapist inflicts much more physical violence than is necessary to accomplish the act. His motivation is to express anger towards women. His attack is quick, so mabilis, extreme, violent, so marahas, and prompted by his having been humiliated by a woman. So more physical violence yung pinapakita niya to express their anger towards the victim. So power rapists. This type of rapist uses only enough violent force to accomplish the rape. He uses rape as means to assert his damaged identity. He views himself as a sexual god and has fantasies that women will actually felt satisfaction for the cause, for the encounter. So, from the word enough, ibig sabihin, sapat lamang ang pinapakita niyang force sa biktima, and then tingin niya siya ay isang sexual god, and feeling niya kapag kinocommit niya yung crime na yon sa ibang tao o sa babae, nasa-satisfy pa yung kanyang nabiktima. And then punta naman tayo sa sadistic rapist. This type of rapist has aggression, domination, and sexuality combined. Sexuality combined. Sexuality combined. He tortures victims before killing her. So, rape is the way of gratifying or satisfying his twisted need for violence, domination, and control. Wait lang guys. So sa sadistic rapist, this type of rapist has aggressive. Ibig sabihin aggressive siya, dominant, domination, and sexuality combined. So marahas to kasi sadistic, from the word sadistic, sadista. He tortures victim before killing her. So tinitorture niya muna yung kanyang biktima bago niya to patayin. In the Philippine settings, the crime of rape is defined and punished by Republic Act 8353, which amended the provisions of the revised penal code on rape. So, Republic Act of 8353 took effect on August 22, 1997. According to the definition provided by Republic Act 8353, there are two ways of manner of committing the crime of rape. So, may dalawang manner sa pag-commit ng rape. Una yung rape through sexual intercourse. Pangalawa ay ang rape through sexual assault. So, unahin na natin ang rape through sexual assault. Rape through sexual ay unahin na natin ang rape through sexual intercourse. So, it is committed when a man has sexual intercourse with a woman through the use of force, threat, or intimidation, when the victim is deprived of reason or otherwise unconscious, or by means of fraudulent machination or grave abuse of authority, when the victim is under 12 years old or demented. Wait lang guys. So for rape through sexual intercourse, the offender is always a man and the victim is always a woman. Kasi alam naman natin, di ba sinabi ko kanina, mas malakas ang puwersa ng lalaki sa babae. Alangan i-rape ng babae ang lalaki, maliban na lang kung mas bata ang lalaki kaysa sa babae. So rape through sexual intercourse, the offender is always man and man is always a woman. So, rape through sexual assault, it is committed when a man insert his penis into another person's mouth or anal orifice, or when a person insert any instrumental or object into the genital or vaginal or anal officers of another person. So, dito na pumapasok yung dito na pumapasok yung pwede nang maging for this kind of rape, the offender can either be a man or woman, and the victim can either a man or woman. So, parang pwede nung sa nangyayari sa panahon ngayon, pwede na rin maging biktima ang ang lalaki, hindi katulad nung rape through sexual intercourse kadalasan babae lang yung nagiging biktima. Ngayon dito sa rape through sexual assault, pwede na rin yung lalaki maging biktima. Punta naman natin ng terrorism. The Federal Bureau of Investigation defines terrorism as the unlawful use of force or violence against person or property to intimidate or coerce a government. So, parang dito kasi parang kinakalaban nila yung gobyerno, the civilians, population, or any segments thereof in furtherance of political or social goals. The U.S. Department of Defense defines terrorism as the unlawful use of or threatened use of force or violence against individual or property to coerce and intimidate government or societies, often to achieve religious, or ideological objectives. Despite the fact that are many definitions available from different sources and authorities, it can be said that all definitions share the same elements. The common elements are: terrorism is an act that is punishable by law. Kasi kinakalaban niya yung gobyerno So, bawal yun. Maaaring parusahan ng gobyerno kung sino man ang magko-commit ng terrorism. Terrorism is always use force. So, ginagamitan lakas, violence, threat, yung pagbabanta, coercion and intimidation to cause fear, na nagkakaroon ng pagkatakot sa ibang tao sa lugar na yun dahilan ng kanilang ginawang rebellion o terrorism. So, terrorism is always target the government and civilians. So, tinatarget niya talaga yung mga gobyerno dahil against nga sila sa government, kaya nabubuo ang terrorism. Terrorism is always based on some political or religious ideologies, and its aim to spread such political and religious ideologies to the greatest number of people. Terrorism aims to change or influence people to embrace the terrorist groups' political and religious ideologies. Terrorism is motivated by the desire to overturn those who are in power and have them replaced by their own. Terrorist activities take many forms. The most common terroristic acts include hostage taking, aircraft piracy, pagsasabotahe, assassination, bombing, and shootings. So, in the Philippine settings, the crime of terrorism is punished by Republic Act 9373, also known as Human Security Act of 2007. So, puntahan naman natin ang economic crime. Economic crime is the crime committed to gain profits. So, kinukumit nila yung crime para sila ay kumita sa legal na paraan. Katulad na naman tax evasion, fraud, embezzlement. And otherwise, legal siya, pero nakakapag-commit sila ng crime. So, under ng economic crime is white collar crime, organized crime, and cybercrime. So, unahin na natin ang white collar crime. Wait lang guys. Hindi ko mahanap. So, white collar crime, this term invented by Edwin Sutherland. He defined it as a crime committed by a person of respectability and high social status in the course of his profession. So, ginagamit niya yung kanyang profesyon sa pag-commit ng crime. O ginagamit niya yung kanyang mataas na estado sa isang business o corporate para makapag-profit, para i-commit niya yung crime na yun, na tinatawag na white collar crime. So, meanwhile, the US Congress defined it is an illegal acts committed by non-physical means and by concealment or guile to obtain money or property or to obtain business or personal advantages. So, ang white collar crimes ay binubuo ng dalawang subdivision. So, ito ay ang occupational crimes and corporate crimes. So, unahin na natin ang occupational crimes. So, occupational crimes committed by individual on the course of their employment. These crimes are committed by the professionals like doctors, lawyers, accountant, cashier, manager, and the like, that take advantage of their position, knowledge, and expertise, and use such position, knowledge, and expertise to commit crimes. So, dahil under siya ng white collar crime na pumapasok sa profession, nagko-commit naman ng mga ganitong crime ay katulad ng mga doctors, lawyers, accountant, cashiers, and other profession na So, sunod naman yung corporate crime. Is a criminal activity of a business organization committed during the course fulfilling the legitimate role of the corporation and in the name of corporate profits and growth. In the corporate crimes, the high-ranking business executives are the one who knowingly engage in unlawful acts to ensure maximum profit for their company. So, from the word itself, corporate, mga corporation or incorporation na mga business na mga high-ranking business executives lamang yung mga nakakapag-commit ng mga ganitong crime. So, yung mga matataas lamang sa mga kumpanya. Sunod naman yung organized crime. So, organized crime. As early of 1969, a definition was formulated by Donald Creasy, which adopted by the U.S. Federal Bureau of Investigation. According to Creasy, an organized crime is any act committed by a person occupying in an established division of labor, a position designed for the commission of crime, providing that such division of labor includes at least one position for a computer, one position for a corruptee, and one position for an enforcer. So from the word itself, corporate, ay from the word is itself na organize, na kumbaga kapag sinabi natin organize, planado na siya. So kumbaga hati-hati sila ng trabaho para hindi mabulilyaso yung kinocommit nila na crime. So merong nasa taas, meron nasa baba, and meron nasa gitna na pumuprotekta para hindi malaman yung ginagawa nilang krimen. So some of the primary characteristic of organized crime are following. So organized crime have no political and religious or social ideologies. So primary purposes of the organized crime groups into gain monetary profits. So ang gusto lang nilang mangyari ay pumasok na pera sa kanila through illegal activities. So organized crime is hierarchical, meaning it follows an organized structure where there are clear lines of authority. So may sinusundan silang kautusan galing sa baba para kung paano nila, kung anong gagawin nila para i-commit yung crime na yon. So organized crime are committed by a wide and complex network of people working together. Sinabi ko nga kanina, katulad na lamang ng mga businesses, merong yung nasa taas, sa gitna, sa baba para hindi mabulilyaso yung kanilang ginagawang krimen. So organized crime employ force, violence, and intimidation their operation and activities. The activities of organized crime groups encompass a variety of illegal activities which include drug trafficking, prostitution, gambling, money laundering, cyber sex, firearms trafficking, and human trafficking. So cybercrime or computer crimes. Cybercrime. It is use of the computer technology to criminally victimize unwary individuals or groups. There are many different forms of cybercrime. So, ranging from the use of the internet to steal identity information to the destruction of whole computer network. The terms cybercrime, computer crime, and internet crime are used interchangeably. So gumagamit ka ng technology o computer para i-commit yung ganitong klaseng krimen. So kagaya ng pagkuha ng personal identity ng ibang tao o ng isang tao para gamitin mo sa sarili mong kasiyahan o gagamitin mo siya para kumita ka, magkaroon ka ng profit. And then Republic Act of 10175, otherwise also known as Cybercrime Prevention Act of 2012. So public order crimes. In the Philippines, the law that defines crimes against public order is the revised penal code under that Title 3, Book 2. These crimes are discussed more in their legal context and are discussed lengthily in criminal law subjects. However, in the context of criminology, public order crimes are also referred to offenses. Consensual offenses, victimizes crimes, or even nuisance offenses. These crimes age from something or as serious as the use and sell dangerous drugs acts, prostitution, to the something as minor as public disturbance to excessive alcoholic consumption or public drunkenness. So, public disorder crimes ito yung dapat mga dapat hindi natin ginagawa katulad na lang excessive alcohol consumption or public drunkenness. So, bawal ka talagang uminom sa labas ngayon bawal kang uminom sa labas kasi pampublikong lugar na yun. And then dangerous drugs or illegal drugs. The sale and use of dangerous drugs is punished by the Comprehensive Dangerous Acts of 2002 or Republic Act 9165. Aside from selling and using dangerous drugs acts of Republic Act 9165 also defines others acts involving dangerous drugs as includes cultivation, dispensation, and manufacturing or are prohibited. These manufacturing are prohibited drugs among others. According to Republic Act 9165, first-time offenders, yung mga unang nahuli ng mga dangerous act will not prosecuted but they will undergo from drug rehabilitation in a government accredited with a health facility. So this is keeping with the beliefs that drugs user are also victims. So sinasabi dito kasi kung first time lang nila, sinasabi dito na victim lang sila at kailangan silang matulungan at maligtas. So however, he will no longer be exempted. So kapag pangalawang huli mo na you will no longer be exempted from prosecution. So, punta naman tayo sa prostitution. So, prostitution. The crime of prostitution is defined and punished by Article of 202 of Revised Penal Code under Title 6, Crimes Against Public Morals, Chapter 2, Chapter 2, Offenses Against Decency and Good Customs. RPC defines a prostitute as a woman who habitually indulges in sexual intercourse or lascivious conduct for money or profit. So, dito sa hence a woman prostitute can be arrested or prosecuted and imprisoned for the crime of prostitution. So, dito sa prostitution, madalas karaniwan itong nangyayari sa mga kababaihan na dahil sa hirap ng buhay, napipilitan silang pumasok sa ganitong trabaho para sa pantustos sa kanilang pamilya, gastusin sa pang-araw-araw. So, the definition of the crime of prostitution is supplemented by RA 9208, the Anti-Trafficking in Person Act of 2003. However, Republic Act of 9203 is aimed to punishing those persons and not necessarily the prostitutes, because on the basis of the definition of the crime trafficking in person, the prostitute is considered as a victim and not as offender. So, sunod naman natin ng public disorders. So, according to Article 155 or 155, the penalty for alarms and scandals shall be imposed upon of any person who, while wandering about at night or while engaging in any other nocturnal amusement, shall disturb public peace, and any person who intoxicated or otherwise shall cause any disturbance or scandal in public places. So, mga pag-iingay sa kalye sa gabi, habang natutulog ang mga tao, pag-iiskandalo sa public places na nakakagawa ng ingay o nakakaistorbo. So, kagaya na lamang ng pagbibideo okay. Pagbibideo okay sa gabi, pati kasi dati walang ninita eh. Ngayon, kahit may birthday pa yan, ang oras ng video okay ay hanggang 10 PM na lang. So, yun ay nakapaloob dito sa public disorders na kailangan dapat masunod natin lahat ng rules and regulation sa isang lugar para hindi tayo makapag-commit ng ganitong crime. So, yun lamang po at maraming salamat. Sana may natutunan kayo.
Hey everyone, this is my report about criminalistic. Six branches of criminalistic: personal identification, police photography, forensic ballistic, question document examination, polygraphy, legal medicine. Personal identification is a collective term that refers to the different method of study of the person identification as a subject. The focus is on dactyloscopy because it is the standard method used by the law enforcement agencies establishing identities of the suspect and victims. Forensic personal identification using appropriate techniques is a fundamental scientific discipline used in the identification of the living, recently deceased, and compromised human remains. It is often used as a tool in a crime scene investigation. Police photography is an art science which deal with the reproduction of image through the action of the light upon sensitized materials with the aid of a camera and its accessories, and the chemical process involved therein. Forensic photography, sometimes referred to as police photography, forensic imaging, or crime scene photography, is the art of producing an accurate reproduction of a crime scene or an accident using photography for the benefit of a court to aid in an investigation. Forensic ballistic is the examination of evidence relating to firearm at a crime scene, including the effect and behavior of projectiles and explosive device. Forensic ballistic involves the analysis of any evidence related to firearms, bullet mark, shell casing, and residue. This branch of science is particularly used in the investigation of incidents involving the use of firearm to draw inference on the exact weapon used, the distant velocity and angle of firing, and ultimately the shooter himself. Question document examination is the branch of criminalistic which deal with examination of handwriting, typewriting, and signature through the use of scientific tools and instruments to determine its authenticity or to prove forgery. Question documentation examination is a forensic science discipline pertaining to documents that are potentially disputed in a court of law. The examination's primary purpose is to provide evidence about suspicious or questioned document using variety of scientific principles and methods. Polygraphy. Polygraphy refers to the scientific method of detecting deception with the use of the polygraph. A polygraph, or popularly referred as a lie detector test, is a device or procedure that measure and records several psychological indicators such as blood pressure, pulse, respiration, and skin conductivity while a person is asked and answer a series of questions. Legal medicine. Legal medicine is a branch of medicine which deals with the application of medical knowledge to the purpose of law, and in the administration or justice, it is the application of basic and elucidate legal matters. Legal medicine, the branch of medicine that deals with the application of medical knowledge to legal problems and legal proceeding. Legal medicine is also called forensic medicine. A physician may be engaged in legal medicine, while a lawyer with identical interest is said to be in the medical jurisprudence.